Ladies and gentlemen, you just can't make this stuff up. And today's live stream is going to be about one of my dad's best friends, whose name, actual real name, was Frankie Stanky. And we're going to talk about Frankie Stanky and where he was born, 2 doors away from my dad, back in 1929, on a beachfront property. And we're going to talk about Mrs. back in 1920. We're going to talk about Mrs. Stanky as well, because she is the main character here, and she was a character. She was a very small woman, probably only about 4 foot 10 inches, but she ruled with an iron fist. So what we have, I have my notes, which I always try to put in order before, and I did that, and I'll let you see the beginning of the notes. And the reason I do these notes is because the topic matter just has to be in a uniform and orderly fashion to supply my subscribers with edification as to what I'm saying is the truth. So I'm going to take off. These glasses are Warren H's best laughing glasses. If I put these on and I'm talking to Warren on Skype, I can almost rest assured when the Skype goes on, Warren is going to start laughing. Then maybe we'll talk about Warren first. Okay, so Warren's in the hospital going on 90 days. I think it's tomorrow will be the 90th day. He's had several chemotherapy treatments, and it's not working out well for Warren. I'll read you the email that he sent me. This is hard to do, but I'm going to do it anyway. He sent this February 1st, which would be yesterday. And the email reads, Michael, I've landed up in the ICU again, and after the operation on Thursday, am very sick, period. One of the nurses from rehab ward told me my PC is on and she could hear incoming Skype calls, which I assume was from you, period. I should be out of the ICU by Monday and will give you a call as soon as I'm back on the ward, period. Next sentence, complete pain in the butt. And then he signed it, Warren. So the last time Warren had chemotherapy in December, his heart stopped. He had to go to the ICU, and while he was in the ICU, his heart stopped, and he was revived. And until this week, from December 20th, I think it was, there were no more chemotherapy sessions. He spent from December 21st until, today is probably till Tuesday of this week, in the ICU unit, except for a few hours when he got out and we did have a time to talk. And on Wednesday, he had another cancer treatment. I believe it was Wednesday. And it had very bad effects. And he had to go back into the ICU. But apparently on Thursday, they did some sort of an operation. And I don't know what the operation involved. So I can't say much more than that, except that Warren is very sick. So that's pretty much my update for Warren H. Guy Pari, not Gay Pari, Guy Pari. My friend Connor said he loves your stuff. Have a good time. Thanks for stopping by. I call it welcome to the machine, Guy Pari. Because the human body is a machine the most complex machine in the universe. So if a human being is operating the gadgets that make the words on the screen, and it's actually being created by a machine. So welcome to the machine, and welcome to the Machine Flying Circus. Thank you for stopping by. Now, Flying Circus, you're the first wrench here. I just want to give you some instructions. As you know, no one is allowed to say anybody's name or channel name or the names of anybody's videos on my live streams, and I don't mention any of that stuff in my videos. So if you see somebody leaving a name of a channel, a name of a person, inferring that it's a certain person on the topic matter that I'm going to discuss, and I am going to discuss some of the most outlandish things I've ever heard on the internet directed at myself, aka the Bahol Walrus, and or myself, Fazio, or Michael Fazio, and Daisy May, or Crazy Days, or Crazy Day. But I don't want anybody here to say anybody's name or channel name. This isn't about anybody's name or channel name. It's about the kind of statements that you hear on YouTube. Some of them, as sick as they are, and they are sick. Okay, thank you for the thumbs up. As sick as they are, and some of these comments that I'm going to be discussing after I talk about Frankie Stanky and his mom, who I called Mrs. Stanky. Well, that was her name. Some of this stuff, when you listen to it, it's just bizarre. That my daughter's mother had a word she used to use back in the 80s, bizarro. And this stuff is bizarro, okay? So D, if you're watching this video, this stuff, and she knows me better than any other human being on earth besides any of my family members. And she if Dee ever gets to watch this video, I gotta tell you, she would say this is all nonsense. But be that as it may, let's talk about Frankie Stanky and his mom and the voice behind the rag. So this is a true story. As bizarro as it is a true story. So the first note I have is you can't make this stuff up. So how did my dad become friends with Frankie Stanky? Well, my dad and my dad's mother and father, my grandparents, and Mr. and Mrs. Stanky, Frankie's parents, lived in bungalow houses that were built for the rich and famous during the 1920s or earlier than that, the 1890s. This goes back. Howard Beach used to be a resort, and they had a casino, which is why the park is named Casino Park, and they had hotels and many canal systems, and all of the canal systems and all of the houses on these canal systems that you'll see or have seen in some of my videos, even as run down as they are now, at one time were for the rich and famous of New York City, because it was only 10 miles from New York City. And back in the 1890s and the early 1900s, transportation to Howard Beach would have been a couple of hours away by horse, several hours. And to get out to the Hamptons, where the really, really rich people lived, was not an option for the weekend, beach dwellers. And you have to remember, as polluted as the water is now in Jamaica Bay, when I was a child, before they cut off the circulation in Jamaica Bay from the ocean, which gave it a running current of a couple of knots, and the water in Howard Beach, in the bay, in Howard Beach Bay, was as pristine as water gets. I remember as a child, there was a bridge. There were a couple of bridges. They were made out of wood, and you could see down 15 feet to the bottom. You could see the crabs. You could see the eels. You could see the striped bass, bluefish. Blowfish were big, a lot of blowfish. I remember blowfish when we were kids. So that was the beach that the bridge connected from a town called Hamilton Beach to Howard Beach. And it was a drawbridge, an old wooden drawbridge. And that's the beach my dad grew up on. So in this time, in 1929, when my dad was born, people couldn't afford to go to the hospital to have children. So my dad was literally born in a house on a white sand beach. And Frankie Stanky's parents lived 2 doors away. So, and they were born right around the same time, also with some of the more famous people from Howard Beach, but they all lived in that area because prior to that, that was the rich area of Howard Beach on the beach. My grandfather just happened to have built a house there before it became a very big tourist spot. So Frankie Stanky and my dad literally knew each other since the time they were born. Then, of course, they went to school together, and they always remained best friends. And in all the years that my dad was friends with Frankie Stanky, that they never had a fight between the two of them. Although Frankie was a fighter, boy. He would fight anybody. But the problem was Frankie Stanky was a little man. He was only about 5'5", 5'6", and I don't think he weighed 150 pounds. But as far as him being a man, he was a man's man. When my dad became a tugboat captain or started working on the tugboats, Frankie needed a job. And my dad took him on, or made sure that he worked with my dad as the second deckhand. And if he couldn't get Frankie Stanky on as a deckhand, he'd get him on a dredge as a mate on a dredge, or some sort of a tender on the dredge, a welder's tender, or cleaning the pump out for the sand vacuums that they would reclaim the beach, like at Rockaway or Jones's Beach. But my dad always made sure Frankie had a job. And when my dad was the master captain on tugboat jobs, Frankie Stanky was his deckhand. And he did not go on a tugboat if Frankie was out of work. He wouldn't go. He wouldn't be the captain on a boat unless he had Frankie Stanky. If Frankie Stanky was out of work, my dad assured him of a job. If Frankie was on another job and he couldn't quit, then my dad would get another deckhand. But Frankie was my dad's best friend from childhood. So after the 1920s, and sometime in the 30s, my grandfather, those houses were removed from the beach. I don't know why, but my grandfather bought a piece of property only about 250 feet from the beach on 160 and 164th Avenue. And then he built a house there, but the Stankies moved to 103rd Street and it was like, I think it was 159th Road or 159th Drive. So they weren't far away from each other, and the school that they attended was right near Frankie's house. So they went to school together. Then, of course, Frankie started working for my dad as a deckhand. So I know Frankie since I was born. And I got to tell you, he was he was a character. He was a character. He was like 5'5", maybe 5'6", 150 pounds, and he liked to drink. He drank too much. There was no doubt about that. That was his one big setback. Sin Simo, welcome to the machine. I explained what Warren's situation is, but I'll explain it again for you. Warren had a cancer treatment on, I believe it was Tuesday, but it could have been Wednesday of this week, a chemotherapy treatment, and he had complications, big complications, and he had to go back into the ICU. And on Thursday, they performed an operation. I don't know what type of operation they performed, but on Thursday, he had an operation, and he said he'll be giving me a call tomorrow. That's the only thing I know. But he said in his letter that I read at the beginning of this live stream, he's very sick. He's very sick. So that's the only thing I know. Hello, Princess. Welcome to the machine. I've never heard Warren complain before, but today was the first day. All right, so we're getting back to Frankie Stanky. And my dad. So now Frankie would come over to my house often with his wife. In the beginning, he was married when I was a young boy, and Frankie never, ever once came to my house to have dinner with his wife or without a gift. That was just the kind of guy he was. And it wasn't because my dad made sure he always had a job, although that was probably part of it. But it was because that's the way things were done back then. And Frankie, when he wasn't drinking, was a perfect gentleman. It was like, and he always called my mom Mrs. Fazio, even though she would say, call me by my first name. He would always say Mrs. Fazio. And he was just that. He was like, that was the way things were back then. So, but when Frankie, and he did not drink in my house. My dad, in my whole life, on Christmas, my dad would have one shot of, he liked something called creme de menthe. And on Christmas or New Year's or any other major occasion, he would have one shot of a liqueur called creme de menthe. And Buddy probably had 100 bottles of booze in the basement, because as the captain of a tugboat, the engineers have to get from the shore to the dredge, or back from the dredge to the shore, or they have to get someplace where they have to site something, maybe an island or whatever. And it would be important for my dad to shuffle them around from the dredge to the shore, or from one dredge to the other. Maybe there was a marshland where there were car floats, and they'd have to get off and walk through the marshes to set up their transits and stuff like that. And they would always bring my dad a bottle. I mean, those guys didn't get on the tugboat without bringing him a bottle of something, because if they didn't get their job done, or if he didn't finish his work out on the ocean or in the bay or in an inlet or whatever they were building, he would have to stop to pick them up. But if he was slow, which he was not, if he was running behind, he wouldn't be able to pick them up. But he always made sure that those guys, the engineers, got to where they needed to be, and they never came on the boat without a bottle. So we had 100 bottles of booze in the house, and my dad would have 2 shots of alcohol a year that I would see. Now, when he went out of town, he did like to drink. But since from the day I was born, I never saw my dad drunk, ever. In fact, the first time I ever saw my dad in a bar, I was 32 years old. And we were watching a movie called Children of the Corn. I remember it because it's a story from the Bible. It's not, the story was taken from the Bible, directly from the Bible. So we were watching this movie and he goes, come on, let's go get dressed. And because I was just at the house, and I said, where are we going? He goes, go get dressed. I'll pick you up. We're going to a bar. And I says, really? He goes, yeah. So I says, okay. So I was 32 years old the first time I was ever in a bar with my dad. And we went to visit Alan York, who was also one of my dad's deckhands for years. Alan, Frankie, were my father's best friends. But this video is about Frankie Stanky, not about Alan York. And Alan York was the the bartender at a place called, what was the name of that? Post Time Bar on 107th Street, I think it was. Post Time on 107th Street and Liberty Avenue. I forgot the name of the bar. But anyway, Alan was working as a bartender, and we went in there, and I didn't drink, but I had a beer. That was first and only time I ever had a drink with my dad. But Frankie, he would drink a lot. He would drink a lot. He was hardcore, but he didn't drink at the house. He would have that one shot on Christmas or New Year's with my dad, and then after dinner, he would have a beer, because my dad always kept a case of beer in the refrigerator downstairs. He'd have a beer, and then if he was going to have another beer, my dad would say, you need to go someplace else, because Frankie would get drunk, and you couldn't shut him up. So he would go to this bar called Smitty's Bar and Grill, which was only like 150 feet from his house. And he would get drunk like you wouldn't believe. Now again, he's a little guy. He's not a big man. But when he got drunk, he thought he was Clark Gable. And he would hit on everybody's girlfriend or wife. And he had more black eyes. He always had a black eye or a swollen lip. He was quite the drinker. And he loved women. And he loved bars. Now, those three things don't work well in anybody's favor, but that was Frankie Stanky. So now, as often as he came to our house for dinner, we would go to his house for dinner, or almost that often. And Frankie lived with his mom and his wife upstairs. Now, so on the first floor, there was like a room that should have been a dining room that led into the living room. And what they did was they put a rope or across from the one side of the wall to the other, and they hung like an old curtain. It was pretty old. I remember it being pretty ratty looking. And Frankie's mom, when we walked in, who's there, Frankie? And he goes, the voice behind the rag. He goes, and then we would go upstairs with him and his wife, and we'd have dinner. But Frankie referred to his mother as the voice behind the rag, because she didn't go up to dinner with us often. She would occasionally. She was a much older woman than my grandmother. She's probably like 7 or 8 years older than my grandparents. She had children late in life. Frankie was very late in life for her to have children back then. So that's where the title comes from, a voice behind the rag. That's what Frankie used to call his mother, the voice behind the rag. And like, I never thought much about it, but later on, recently, last couple of years, it just struck me as something funny, and I wanted to tell that story. So I did talk about Frankie always brought a gift, and the fights that Frankie had. Frankie would get into a fight, he would fight anybody. Now, the 2 people or 3 people that he never fought was a guy named Stevie Demarak, who was also my dad's deckhand. to become a tugboat captain, you had to know how to run a boat. You just couldn't be a tugboat captain. And Frankie had no feel for it. Stevie never wanted to be a tugboat captain. He liked being a deckhand because there's a lot of slack time. And Stevie Demarac was one of the most vicious fighters that if you ever saw this guy fight, you would say, oh my God, no man would want to fight Stevie Demarac. And he was one of my dad's best friends also. But Frankie, he would get drunk and want to fight Stevie. And Stevie says, I can't fight you, Frank. He would laugh at him. And but Frankie would fight anybody. Frankie always had a black eye or was always monkeyed up from somebody beating him up. I mean, nobody really beat him up really bad because back then you just knock somebody out or just have a fight with them and the fight was over. They didn't, continue pounding and grounding people. But, and everybody knew that just, hit Frankie a couple of times and the fight's over. But he fought. I got to tell you, if I were to say Frankie had one fight a month, I would say that was an underestimate. And his mother, oh, God, she would go, don't let him drink, Tommy. Don't let him drink. And because when we went upstairs for dinner, if he started drinking, he'd go straight to the bar. And he'd leave his wife upstairs with my mother and father and myself. And he was one funny dude, man. He would get drunk and start drinking, and he'd run right out to the bar because he knew that he was going to get obnoxious. So eventually his wife divorced him. He had several attractive girlfriends, but he always lost his girlfriends because of his drinking issues. And he always had a black eye or a swollen lip. So that's pretty much the way I remember Frankie Stanky and my dad and Stevie Demarac and Alan York. And also, later on in life, when I bought my house in Key Largo, Frankie eventually became a tugboat captain, but to be honest, he wasn't very good. Okay, I mean, I could run a boat when I was 15 better than Frankie could. And my dad used to let me run the tugboat when I was 14, 15 years old. He just said I had a natural knack for it. And I did. And eventually I owned a 188-ton barge, self-propelled. And in 11 years and 5,000 miles I put on that barge from Traverse City, Michigan to New York, from New York to Rhode Island, up the Hudson, down the Hudson, the Long Island Sound, Connecticut, wherever I had jobs with that barge, I ran the barge. And I never had an accident. Not one time did I ever do not $100 worth of damage to a boat or a dock. I knew how to run a boat. I could run anything. Give me a boat and give me 2 or 3 hours to play with it, and I'll run it as good as the captain on the boat. And that was just part of a natural affliction I had for running boats. And they wanted me to be a tugboat captain in the Union when I was a dock builder, but I didn't like working out of town, and a lot of jobs were out of town, and I had things to do in where I lived. So they would have gave me a union card as a tugboat. They would have made me a tugboat captain. Just take the test and you get your own boat. When they were building the bridge from Howard Beach towards Rockaway, they were building the new bridge. Well, it was a new bridge. It used to be called the North Channel Bridge. The shop steward on that job, he said to me, he knew about my barge and crane because my barge and crane were pretty much, that's where I stationed them in the beach. And he knew my ability to run a boat because he knew me since I was like 5 years old. And he said, if you want to be a captain, we'll get you a captain's job on this bridge right now. You go take the test. And I said, I don't want to be a tugboat captain. I like being a dock builder. So It was an option that I had that I passed up. But eventually I did get my captain's license. But that was when I moved to Florida. So 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 in 2000, and I bought the house in 1999. On June 3rd of 1999 I closed. And in my dad came to stay with me for January. Well, first he came to stay with me when I lived in Big Pine Key in the Florida Keys. Big Pine Key is at mile marker 30. That's where they have something called the key deer. And the full-grown deer is about not as big as a small German Shepherd. It has antlers and all that stuff. It looks like a deer, but it's about the size of smaller than a German Shepherd. And it's an endangered species. But my dad from 1995 would come to Big Pine Key in 95. And then in 96 he came. In 97 I had moved to an apartment in Key Largo. 98 he didn't come, but when I bought the house he came in the winter of 1999, 2001, and then 2003 when he was really sick. In 2001 he needed an operation, he had to go home, and in 2003 he wasn't doing so well. But Frankie was working up in Tampa, Florida, and Frankie drove 12 hours from, I called Frankie up. I said, Frankie, if you're going to come see my dad, you better do it soon. You're a pole smoker. You're a pole. I needed a laugh. Rabbi Jew Barker, baby. You're a pole smoker is in the house. He said, welcome to the machine. You're a pole smoker. Yes, and Simo, it is sad. I will wish Warren well for you. Thank you, Simo. I just went back to the comments because no, Simo Travels, drunk on a towboat. I gotta tell you, there was a rule in the union, no alcohol. I have never in my entire life ever seen a deckhand or a captain drink on a tugboat. And there's good reason for that. Tugboats are a big piece of equipment. A small tugboat weighs 50 tons. My barge weighed 188 tons. My dad's tugboats would weigh up to 250 or 300 tons. Some of them were 165, 170 feet with twin 5,000 horse diesel engines in them. Nobody ever drank on the tugboat. Now, you could get drunk and get on the tugboat before you went to work. I mean, you could get on the tugboat drunk, but then you're going to have a bad day. And you could drink after you got off the tugboat, but I never saw an ounce of alcohol my whole life on any tugboat, on any job, anywhere, in any job I was ever on. And on my barge, if somebody came on my barge with alcohol, they would never work on my barge again, ever. They would not. It was just an unspoken rule. You don't drink on the boat, on the job. Now, if you were off, now, because a lot of times we'd go on a tow, and I was working as a deckhand for my dad since I was 14. Totally illegal. But my dad was friends with Stephen Leslie, Steven Leslie, Lesly. Stephen Leslie was the 10th vice president of the International Union of Operating Engineers, which was my dad's union. And Steve would let me deck for my dad, and then my dad's deckhand would go on vacation for a couple of weeks in the summertime. And then every summer, not every summer, but when I was 14 and 16, I got to deck for my dad. And so there would be two deckhands on that tugboat. and one deckhand would take a vacation for 2 weeks, and another deckhand would take another vacation for 2 weeks, and they would collect their check, and they would give me the money for the wages. And that was back in the 70s. That was all legal. So, but Sincimo, nobody ever drank on the tugboat. I assure you that. And so I worked on the tugboats, and I got to run the boat a lot. My dad would, but mostly he made me throw the rope. Mostly he made me throw the rope. Go out there and throw that rope. Because when he was making up to a barge or a scow or a dock, he expected you to hit the cleat. He did not expect you to miss. So sometimes when we weren't working, being that I wasn't a real full-time deckhand, when I was 14 years old, I probably threw that rope, the 1.5-inch line or 2-inch line, maybe, I don't know, several thousand times. So when I wasn't, when the boat was slack, when it wasn't a barge to move or an anchor to move or pick up an anchor or move a buoy or something like that, I was throwing a rope. And I got pretty good at that. I actually got pretty damn good at it. Because he expected you to hit the cleat. When he was making up to something, if there was wind and tide, he did not expect you to miss the cleat. Nowadays, when I watch these guys here in the Philippines, there's 7 guys out there. There's one guy throws a monkey, and the other guy grabs the monkey and pulls the rope through the water to the dock, and then 3 men pick the monkey line up to get the rope to the dock. A monkey is, in case you don't know what a monkey is, a monkey is a ball. It's about this big. It's about this big round. And on the monkey is a light line, like a 3/8-inch piece of line. I don't have any line around here, but let's just say. So on the monkey is a piece of line about this thick. And the ball is a heavy rubber ball, but it floats. So they take this ball with this light line, 5/16 or 3/8, and they throw the ball from the boat to the dock or from the dock to the boat. But when a boat is coming into the harbor here in the Philippines, the monkey gets thrown from the boat because the line is on the boat. So they'll throw the monkey, and then they'll pull on this little light line here, and they'll pull this little light line up to the dock, and there'll be two or three men, hauling in the line. And then and on the end of the monkey line is the main, it's called a line. This would be a rope. This would be something that would be called a rope. And then anything bigger than 1.25 inches would be a line. And the ropes, the line they use here to tie up the boats are 1 3/8, not braided, but 1 3/8 twisted line. So I never seen anything like it. You got 3-4 men on the dock, and you got 3 or 4 men on the boat. I used to do all that stuff by myself. I would throw the line and then make it up to the cleat. And then if you wanted the quarter cleat or the stern cleat or the head cleat, the bow cleat is the head cleat. I'd do all of that. We would do all of that ourselves. One guy would be on the back of the boat, one guy in front. Usually you hit the cleat, you hit the front quarter cleat on the scow, and then you'd make it up to your quarter cleat on the front of the tugboat, stern, either port or starboard. And depending on which way the current was, which way the wind was blowing, he'd make up to the scow, port, or starboard. So you'd make the front quarter cleat on the scow, not the bow cleat on the scow, but the front quarter cleat, and then you'd make up the front quarter cleat to the tugboat. Then the tugboat would move in. So now they have like 30 feet of scow in front of that cleat and 25 feet of tugboat, and the tugboat would make that line tight. It would pull it tight. It would come in like this and make it tight. And then when that was tight, you'd get off, and the guy in the back of the boat, because that might be a much further distance to throw, you'd try to grab the line if he missed the cleat on the back of the scow. You'd grab the center cleat on the scow. And then Then after you got that line on the scow, you'd run around back up to the front quarter cleat and run back to the back of the tugboat and pull the line tight and make up to it while my dad put a strain on the front line. Okay, so a strain is when the boat is in reverse and it's pulling the line tight in the front, so you get all the slack out of the back. You'd make that up to the back cleat, and then now you have the scow grabbed by two places. So now you can use the boat to maneuver the scow. Anyway, Frankie Stanky was not the good captain, and but he never got. Oh, the rule about drinking on the tugboat, Sensimo, was you drink on the tugboat, you get fired, and you don't get another job. That was just. I don't ever remember anybody ever getting fired. Not off my dad's boat for drinking, but I remember people that got fired as a deckhand or a captain that was drinking. They just didn't work anymore. That was just one of the rules about being a tugboat captain or working on a tugboat. Welcome to the machine. John Escape is in the house. Yeah, thank you for stopping by. John, I explained the rules. Jack Thompson, I explained the rules. And in a few minutes, I'm going to be talking about some of the most egregious statements that I've ever heard on YouTube. But I'm not going to mention anybody's name or channel. And if anybody mentions a name or a channel, I want you to not just time them out. I want you to go to their channel and block them permanently. They're not coming back. Those are my rules. They've been my rules for a long time, and I'm sticking with those rules. And thank you for stopping by. Jack Thompson, welcome to the machine, Jack Thompson. Okay, so you will be sacked if you drink on duty with any boat, ship, etc. But leisure boats, etc., no, that's right. Sensimo has it correct. There is like zero tolerance for working construction or maritime ships. Zero tolerance for drinking on the job. But on a pleasure boat, you can drink. But now, starting back in 2001, I think it was, now if you're drunk on the water, they will give you a DUI, and you will go to the same school as a DUI for driving while intoxicated. It will cost you more than $10,000 for fines, penalties, and school costs and court costs. So now they give DUIs on the water for pleasure craft captains that are deemed drunk. And but you can drink if you want. That's up to you if you want to drink. But now you can also, I've watched dozens of people get arrested at Holiday Isle when I used to take the Formula or any of my boats to the sandbar. The Marine Patrol was pretty darn slack about letting people drink. That's what people did at Holiday Isle and also up near Miami. But they always had 5 or 6 fenders on their boat, and they would just randomly pick a boat that was moving around. And they'd make up next to your boat. They'd throw their fenders out. They'd tie up. They'd ask you for your papers. And if you were drinking, that was cool. But if you were drunk, you were going to jail. You got arrested on the water. And if somebody else was on the boat, they took the boat. They captained the boat back to wherever it came from. And if no one else was on the boat got towed. They'd call up sea tow. So nowadays, it's a lot stricter for drinking on the water, but you can drink on the water. In other words, like if you have 3 or 4 drinks and the Marine Patrol pulls you over, they know you've been drinking, but they don't arrest you. But if you're drunk, you go to jail. And it's the same violation, the same insurance points go on your license. You still lose your license for 6 months. I think the first drinking DUI, but with the boat, you're not allowed to be captain the boat with a car. Excuse me, you're not allowed to drive a car unless you're going back and forth to work on your first DUI. But your second DUI, I think you lose your license, I don't know, 6 months to a year, and you can't drive if you have a second DUI within 3 years. On the water, I don't know what the restriction is about driving the boat, but it's probably different. But could be the same, but the fines are the same, the insurance is the same, and I had a brand new Cobra, so my insurance was like $1,200 a year because I had a clean license. At that time, 14 years, I had no tickets. But if you got a ticket, especially with a Cobra, which is a race car, if you got a ticket, my insurance might have went from $1,200 to $4,000 a year, and that stays for 5 years. So, and if you have a DUI on the ocean, on your boat, your insurance for your vehicles, motor vehicles on land, go up the same as if you had been driving a car. There's no difference between the insurance increases from the ocean to the land. So, digressing back, Jack, John, or any of my wrenches that are here that I can't see in the chat down below, if you see somebody mention a name, a channel name, because I am going to talk about some stuff on here, some comments that I took off of videos. And I should say thank you very much. I'll say thank you very much. So as of this morning, or at 3 o'clock this morning, there were 22 videos were sent to me. After the NBI requested, I put out a request. 22 videos were sent to me this week. And of those 22, I had a lot of them saved because people have been sending me those videos for about 1.5 years now. But some of the videos I watched, I got, at 3 o'clock this morning, I got 3 videos that I did not have in my files. And I started listening to them, and I was going, what is this so-called man talking about? What on God's good earth would make this so-called man say these things? And we're going to get to those comments. I'm only going to pick 4 or 5 of my favorite comments. And when I say favorite, I'm being facetious. I'm only going to pick the most sick, twisted, deranged comments by this so-called man, that what he said about the Bohol Walrus, Fazio, Fat Man in Bohol, the guy building the hotel, the guy with flesh-eating bacteria, what he said, or Daisy, May, Paula, or Crazy Days, these comments would make somebody's head spin. And if you let's just say, before I get there, I'm just gonna break into these most egregious comments ever spoken on YouTube. If you were to say to somebody, I was on YouTube, this is you talking. You were talking to your friend. I was on YouTube and I heard a person say this on YouTube about another man's wife or girlfriend or family member. The other person that you were talking to, let's say Sin Simo was telling John Escape. Sin Simo is friends with John Escape. They're having a coffee somewhere, and Sin Simo says, I heard this man say this thing. John Escape would be, no way anybody would say that on YouTube, on social media, where it could be recorded. There's no way. John Escape is going to say there's no way. Sin Simo would have to have the video and make John Escape listen to the video or upload or audio file, and to make John Escape believe that what Sin Simo said is true. That's how disgustingly sick, mentally deranged, and twisted these comments are. And we're going to get to that in a moment. Let me get through my comments. So, John agrees with Sin Simo. Yeah, there's no drinking on the commercial water going vessels. Sin Simo, drinking on boats in the United States is the same as drinking and driving. heavy penalties for drunk boating. Yep, same penalties. John says, I'm here in Miami. At least a dozen a year die in drunk boating accidents. What you really want to see, John, I went to the Armada of outside Miami Beach with my Ocean Racer a couple of years in a row. And the actual day of the Armada, which is like Labor Day, whatever day Labor Day is, let's say Labor Day is a Sunday. Just take the Armada that's outside Miami. If you get there on a Thursday, you'll throw out your anchor, 2 anchors, because the current there is pretty strong. By Friday afternoon or Saturday morning, there are literally 10,000 plus boats and yachts, sailboats, catamarans. If you get there on a Thursday and anchor, you better have food till Monday, because you're not getting out. There is no way you could ever get a boat. The boats are sometimes 10, 15, 20 boats tie up next to each other. They bind, you throw out your fenders on both sides of your boat, and you just take up all the slack, and people just walk from one boat to another, and there might be 20 boats. And then people are in the water swimming and drinking with life jackets, without life jackets, on floats. But if you ever get to see the Armada in outside Miami, I had a brand new damn Ocean Racer in mint condition, and people would just walk across my deck. The paint job on the deck was $5,000 to refinish the deck. Right before I bought the boat, that's what it cost the guy to refinish the boat, to sell it in pristine condition. And people would just walk across the deck with their muddy sandals on. Man, I was like, the first year I went there with my open cuddy cabin. My open cockpit. And the next year I went with the Ocean Racer, but I did not stay. When I saw it getting really crowded, I took off. And the third year, I went with a couple of people, and then it was cool, because you didn't have to go with people to become friends with people. When you got there, everybody was friendly, and there was no crime. I had a stash on my boat that I put my wallet, my money in, but I never heard of anybody getting shot or stabbed. But there was a lot of drinking going on. So Jack Thompson says the Coast Guard will seize your boat if you get drunk. Well, I've seen boats get taken away if there was just one captain, one person on the boat. But the Marine Patrol was pretty lenient. They would let somebody else take the boat the same way they would let you take a car home. But they didn't have to do that, and they could take your boat. You're right about that. Sinsimo says, wow, I'm shocked, Jack Thompson, as it has been asked for years here. But too many government Masons, etc., like drinking and boating. Oh, no. It don't matter. It don't matter if you're a Mason or not. The Marine Patrol, that's why I took the test for the Marine Patrol. That was like it was the same test for the Florida State Troopers, but I wanted to be a Marine Patrol agent. And I actually failed that test. I failed the running part by 3 seconds because I twisted my knee. I was in the shower, taking a shower to get ready to go take the test, and I slipped and fell on a slimy, dirty shower spot. And I took 12 aspirin and Tylenol. And the pain was just, I missed 1.5 miles. Otherwise, I would have been a Marine Patrol and retired now. And that was what happened. So you're gonna have to excuse me. We're only talking 75 seconds. I have the distilled water maker, and I don't want to let it run dry because the gasket on the distilled water maker is drying up, and every time it dries up, when it runs out of water. I just have to go shut it off. I'm not going to bring the water back in, but I do need to shut that off. So you guys hang out and talk to each other for about 75 seconds, I guess it should take me, and I'll be right back. Just got to pull the plug. All righty. So we're going to be talking about those most egregious statements ever made on the internet by a so-called man. Okay, so John is saying there's been a lot of arrests this week on the water. A lot of out-of-town fools drinking on the water with Super Bowl in town. It's one thing I never wanted to do or did, was go to the Super Bowl. I had a friend of mine that used to get tickets for the Super Bowl. Joey the Stash. Joe the Stash. He had this little pencil-thin mustache. And he would pay $1,000 for a seat for the Super Bowl. Okay, so John and a couple of people are talking. Jack used to live in Nantucket. I hated tourist season. Yeah, thank God tourist season's over for now. It's pretty quiet here, too, in the Philippines. Okay, so Jack, whoa, John Escape, you went to Block Island. Nice. Okay, so John Escape is talking about going to Block Island. Now, Block Island is at near Key West, and it's a big tourist town, but there's a big bay there also, and they have the races down by Block Island. Or are you talking about Block Island, Long Island? I think that was Block Island. There's a Block Island, Long Island, John. Which are you talking about? Okay, so you're talking about Block Island. Jack Thompson is long. Block Island is big money. You're right about that. The Vanderbilts, the Hearsts, Block Island, Rhode Island. Okay, there's a Block Island, Long Island too, right at the end of Long Island itself. There's a Block Island, so that's big money, big money. You got to take a ferry there. You can't. There's no bridge. Okay, so what we're going to do now is we're going to talk about the most disgusting, egregious comments that I believe that have ever been said on YouTube by this so-called man. And I'm going to preface this with I'm going to put this comment in here before we start on this topic. No names to be mentioned, and if any are mentioned, you will be blocked instantly by myself or one of my wrenches. So I'm going to post that in the comments section. Block Island was right next to Plum Island, where they had the experimental vaccines on Plum Island. That was like the the government's secret laboratory on Plum Island, and then Block Island was right next to that. And then on the other side of Long Island was the Hamptons, let's say. So let's, I'm going to go back to the comments. I posted that. I'm going to post it twice. Anybody that breaks the rule, leaves a name or a channel name, permanently blocked. I'm letting you know now. Okay, so let's get back to my comments. The first thing, what I'm going to post is a video. And I'll show you the video on YouTube. I'm going to post the name of the video, and I'm going to post the link to this video. It's called Sympathy for Narcissists and Other Confusing Feelings. And there's a reason for that, because typically when a person says, don't you talk about my girlfriend or wife. Don't you dare talk about my girlfriend or wife. Don't you ever say anything about my girlfriend or wife. And then that same person says the things that I'm going to talk about in the next few paragraphs. And then you might be a narcissist if you do that. And it just could be. So I think that there's a connection between this sympathy for the narcissist and other confusing feelings and the person that said these most disgusting things about myself and Daisy May. So I'm going to put this, my opinion. I'm allowed to have my opinion. It's my channel, my opinion, and I'm going to put my opinion on my channel and make a commentary about these statements that was said about myself and Daisy May, or the Bahal Walrus and Crazy Day, or the Crazy Days and the Bahal Walrus, or the guy with the flesh-eating bacteria on his foot. I gotta tell you, the guy who, here's one. Wow, I should make you wait. I'm going to make you wait. So I'm going to make you wait for this. This is just there are some crazy comments that are going to be talked about. There's going to be, you like I said, if Sensimo was talking to somebody else, nobody would believe Sensimo that somebody said these things, and then mentioned somebody's name and or channel and or girlfriend's name or girlfriend's Facebook page. Spell it out, baby. I mean, just spell it out. Not going to mention any names, but then he goes and gives out Daisy's Facebook page. Oh my God. I'm not going to, but I'm no names mentioned here. No. Yeah, baby. Hey, John Boone Bean is here. Did I see somebody say hello to John Boone Bean? Oh, yeah. How you doing? John Boone Bean, welcome to the machine. All right. So, sympathy for the narcissist and other confusing feelings. So we're going to start this off with, I'm going to read. Okay. So, let's see. Now you should all understand. Okay. Now you should all understand. Okay. So this is the reason for the video, sympathy for the narcissist and other confusing feelings, because there's a person on YouTube that goes absolutely ballistic, nuts, insane if you say anything about anybody he knows, family, friends, wife, girlfriend, brother, son, daughter, mother, father, anybody he knows. If you say anything in relationship to anybody he knows, he goes ballistic. But he said the following things about myself, Dave's wife, Big Kevin, Roberto, and Popeye. He Man, the videos that you guys sent me, I got to tell you, man, I don't spend enough time on YouTube to catch all of this stuff. But I got to tell you, the classic line that I heard this morning was, Fazio couldn't get it up with a crane. And that's why Daisy left Fazio. Plus, I don't think that Fazio and Daisy ever had a real relationship. Plus, Daisy left Fazio because he smells like dead, rotting, stinking whale flesh. But don't ever mention his family, friend, wife, girlfriend, mother, father, sister, or brother. Don't ever do it. They will go ballistic. Now, if I was like that guy, I would be upset about this. But actually, having these videos, I'm very grateful for the people that sent these videos to me. And I'm very grateful that they even went through the trouble of putting timestamps and stuff in the video to so that it would save me of watching 46 minutes of nonsense, or an hour and 56 minutes, or 46. Oh my God. I mean, listening to these statements, gotta tell you, it was like, why would somebody say something like that? Which goes back to the video that I posted, Sympathy for the Narcissist and Other Confusing Feelings, in the link. They say these things because they feel their feelings are true and correct. That's what narcissists do. They believe that their feelings become reality. Now, I've been doing a lot of studying on what is a narcissist and what is a psychopath. So I've listened to that video a few times, but their feelings become, in their mind, and it doesn't matter if it's a man or a woman, but in their mind, their feelings become reality. And they are, in fact, believing that what they say is true. Even if later on they realized they made a mistake, it was only because you made them say these things. I'm not making it up. If you go to this woman's channel, The Little Shaman, by following this link and watch videos about what is a narcissist and other confusing feelings, which is a new video she posted last night about 2 o'clock in the morning. It was pretty much had a lot of relationship to what's going on in these comments section. But I will tell you something else. And it wasn't that video, but she made another video I have posted. I have a playlist, What is a Narcissist and What is a Sociopath, on my homepage. The narcissist believes that his feelings become reality and they're true. And he believes, or she believes, that they are stating facts. Now, in one of the videos someone sent me, it is quoted, I'll have to read the quote, but it's quoted, "On my channel, we just present facts. No lies, no hearsay, just facts." And then he goes on to say that Michael Fazio, or doesn't use the word Michael Fazio, the Bahal Walrus couldn't get it up with a crane. Daisy left me to go make love to a real man. In another part of the different video, Daisy left me because I stink like dead, rotting whale flesh. And he says it over and 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 over, just like when he stated in a video on a live stream that was sent to me in its entirety, called The Vile One, that die, Warren, die, you MFer, die of cancer, you MFer, die, 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 14 times in the same video, with no remorse and with no nothing but anger and hatred in his diatribe rant. And yet, he believed that was perfectly okay to say that. In another video, he called, let's just for today make like me and Dave are like, we love each other. Okay, let's just pretend. So the great Dave, we won't mention his last name, the great Dave was put in a position by another YouTuber, and this other YouTuber said, your wife's a bar girl. Your wife's a bar girl. Yeah, do you like me calling your effing wife a bar girl? Do you like that? How do you like it when I call your effing wife a bar girl? And then immediately afterwards went on, and you molested your niece. You molested your niece, which makes Dave, the great Dave, a pedophile. And he believes this stuff. He actually believes this stuff because his feelings have become a reality. And that's what makes people have, or what classifies people as having antisocial disorders. Because actually, what is a narcissist and what is a sociopath or what is a psychopath is the name of something that is derived from antisocial behavioral patterns. And there are different antisocial behavioral patterns, but to accuse the great Dave of having an underage wife of the age of 14, which classifies the great Dave as a pedophile, to accuse the great Dave of meeting his wife and marrying his wife underage, which makes Dave a pedophile, the great Dave a pedophile, the great Dave, it makes him a pedophile if what this person said is true. And I have a copy of it. So it's just, if there is a legal term for it, you can put the legal term. I'm looking at the comments, okay? I'm looking at the comments, at my notes, excuse me. So if there's a legal term for what is being happening while these things are being said in a public venue, you can just put the word, whatever the word is. Could be, if it's libel, I don't know the difference exactly if it's libel or slander or if it's defamation, but if what I said is true, what is the word that legally associates it to the law? Or what, in your opinion? You can put, in my opinion, it is. So if you listen to this person say that Dave, the great Dave, to the great Dave, your wife's an effing bar girl. Your wife's an effing bar girl. How do you like it that I called your wife an effing bar girl? Do you like it? Do you like it? And like rubbing it in. And he did the same type of thing when he announced to the world that Daisy May had left me for another man. And he takes great pride in hurting people's feelings and demoralizing people in public, but not backed up by any truth. But states it's all facts. You come to my channel because I have the facts. Only the facts, nothing but the truth. No hearsay, no lies, nothing but the truth. That's why people come to my channel. That's a quote. Well, an ad lib that's almost a perfect quote. So let's talk about another statement. So far we have that the ball walrus can't get it up with a crane. And that Daisy left me because I stink like dead rotting whale flesh. Those are two different comments, two different videos. But in that's now, I don't smell like dead stinking rotten whale flesh. And I had myself checked out for stink this week when I was talking to the Wizard of Oz. And they said, no, you don't smell. You've never come here smelling. I said, thank you. And it's an amazing thing. So let's go on to the next. Now I'm going to go to the comments section and see if someone came up with the legal term for this. All right, get rid of this guy, Raphael. I don't know what he's talking about. Get rid of him. That's a troll. Okay. Yeah, I'll get rid of them. When somebody starts posting 10 comments in a row like that, just go to their channel. Let me show you how to do it. I click those buttons next to the thing. Go to his channel, Rafael Freitas Rodriguez. Go to this flag here and push block user. My wrenches, you can do this. And then you submit. And now Rafael is gone. And now remove his comments. Not important, not part of the show. And I knew he was, as soon as somebody starts posting one after the other, bang, 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 bang comments, get rid of them. I don't care who they are, really, but there's no reason for that. So now we're going to talk about the 5 most interesting things said about Crazy Day, Daisy May, and myself. He can't get it up with a crane. And then I don't know how he even knows this kind of stuff. I mean, how does he know? So is it slander? Is it libel? And more than that, you're not allowed to say anything about his family, friends, wife, mother, brother, father, sister, cousins, or friends. But he has the right to say that Daisy May or Crazy Day left me because I have flesh-eating bacteria on my foot. He has that right. It's public, it's a public venue. He can say it. Doesn't make it right. Doesn't even make it legal. But he has the right to say it. But this is the kind of stuff that's been getting sent to me that I just find. I have never said anything like that about anybody's wife or girlfriend, ever. And I might have said it about, I might have got upset with a man and told him off. But I never said anything like that about anybody's wife or girlfriend. God, that's just beyond the pale, so to speak. So that's the first comment. Okay, the second comment that I listened to in a video called True Stuff. I gotta tell you, I don't know if that was the original title or not, but the Bohol Walrus. Look at this. The Bohol Walrus makes Crazy Day walk around the house naked whilst I hold my tool. And not real tools, if you know what I mean. So he's saying, and then he goes on to say that the only way that the Bohol Walrus can get it up is if I make Crazy Day walk around the house naked. And I hold my own tool. I guess I'm thinking pretty much that any intelligent person on earth in any language, if you put it in their language, it would mean that the only way I can have an orgasm would be if I did it for myself while making Crazy Day walk around the house. Okay, now I have it on video. I could play the sound clip, but I won't. And I won't tell you where it came from. But I will tell you that I received 22 videos and a message at 3 o'clock this morning that I'm going to get more. And there are more available. And I will go through them and find the most egregious things. That comment that I make Daisy walk around Crazy Day, and it's Crazy Day is Daisy May. Let's be clear about that. But that I make her walk around the house naked and I have to apparently inside his mind, he believes that I have to masturbate to Crazy Day walking around the house naked. And that is just very sick. That is a very sick thing to say about somebody. I'm not going to justify it in any other way other than something that shouldn't have been said on YouTube, in social media. Certainly not something that should have been posted where in the rest of the video all references lead to Daisy Mae. I'll just ask a question. Why would somebody say that about Daisy Mae? To this day, Daisy and I are good friends, and we're going to remain good friends. Now, I don't know how long that's going to last, but right now, there's no end to our friendship. We're still best friends, and that's the way I like it. I like being able to call up Daisy and ask her what she's doing today and what she's going to do tomorrow. I know everything that Daisy is doing, and I even offered her assistance in anything she needs, anything at all. I have no animosity towards Daisy whatsoever, and she has none towards me. And yet, this is the kind of thing that is being said about a woman who has never made a negative video about anybody in her whole life. She's never said a derogatory word to anybody in any video. And this is the kind of thing that is being said about a national in the Philippines. Well, I have to tell you, there's a lot of people very interested in these statements, and we'll leave it at that. So let's go to I'm going to go back to the live stream and see if anybody is commenting, because a lot of people are afraid to comment on this. So let's get rid of this guy. This guy, Raphael, is gone. Somebody removed all his crap. Thank you. Jack Thompson. Steve Montelli. Wow. Steve Montelli. I love Steve Montelli. I like the way Steve thinks. I got to tell you, I just like the way Steve thinks. He knows how to have fun. And he's not, and I'm not being facetious about this, he's not afraid to admit that he's going on vacation to have fun. He's not putting any, and I'm going to add to that. What Steve does is perfectly legal in the eyes of the law. Steve Montelli doesn't break any laws. He doesn't break any moral codes of the Philippines. He doesn't break any moral codes of the YouTube genre by posting his girl walking around in a G-string. He doesn't do any of that stuff. And here's how it works in the Philippines. Steve Montelli has it right. Now, he does not. I'm going to say it again. Steve doesn't date 18-year-old women. But if Steve Montelli wanted to date an 18-year-old woman, the law of the Philippines would allow that to take place. Under the age of 18 would be problematic. I don't know how that works. I do believe you could if you get permission from the parents and it's a serious relationship. But in the Philippines, a woman is considered a woman at the age of 18. And if Steve Montelli wants to come here and treat the women that he meets with respect, and he does, then he's entitled to date any age woman 18 years or older. And he gets on and does his live streams and talks about that he's in, he was in a bar having a tequila sunrise, I think it was, and he didn't show the girl's face. He doesn't exploit the women. He was in his house. He doesn't exploit the women. I'm sure he doesn't get drunk and abuse them because he's just doesn't appear to be, and I don't think he is, and I've never heard anything to the contrary. I know he doesn't abuse the women, but I heard people talk about Steve Montelli and indirectly call Steve Montelli a pedophile because, and I'm going to quote this now, the man said, the so-called man said about Steve Montelli. He said, Steve dates women that are 40 years younger than himself. And in my mind, that's the man, the so-called man's mind. In my mind, that makes him a pedophile. And then this is what's going on inside this so-called man's mind. Then he says this, word for word. Yes, I'm redefining the word pedophile to where if there's more than a 40-year age difference, that's a pedophile. He actually said those words. I'm redefining what the word pedophile means. And then associated Steve Montelli with dating a woman more than 40 years his junior, thus indirectly or directly implying that Steve Montelli is a pedophile in his mind. And yet Steve Montelli has broken no laws. Now, the definition of pedophilia is a little bit different than dating an underage woman. I think pedophilia has, and I don't quote me on this, but I think pedophilia has to do with child sex. So a 17-and-a-half-year-old woman is a child, but pedophilia, I believe, brings, I could be wrong, but I believe pedophilia is down around the age of 13. And I don't know because I never looked this stuff up. This is not my forte. Pedophilia is not my forte, but being called a pedophile or implied that I am a pedophile or insinuated that I am a pedophile and that I was dating my granddaughter or my daughter, that I didn't like that at all. And neither does anybody else. So Steve Montelli, we're going to give Steve Montelli a big hand clap here because Steve Montelli also, we have to note that Steve Montelli has financial latitude to fly back and forth to the Philippines whenever he chooses. And that's freaking wonderful, actually. That's amazing. And to be jealous of that, no, there's no reason to be jealous of that. But there is a so-called man that's very jealous of Steve's financial latitude, that he can do whatever he wants, whenever he wants. And Steve he makes his live streams. I watch his live streams when I'm going to sleep sometimes. And he talks about his adventures, I guess you could call them adventures in the Philippines. And talks about them open and honestly. And to be honest, it's not. I was in the city a few weeks ago. Those videos that I posted in the park, I go to that park whenever I go to the Lion's Den or into the Capitol building for business. I could easily meet, if I wanted to, meet a woman in her early 20s. No problem. I've met them before, and they will ask you if they're interested in you. The girls here will say, "Where's your wife?" Now, the girl in the video that I just posted in the park, she happened to be married. She was a groundskeeper. And the guy made it perfectly clear that she was married. And we just had a big laugh and I moved on. I wasn't hitting on her anyway. She was probably in her mid-30s and most likely she had children. And I don't want to date somebody with children. My preference. I don't really have the time for that. I guess if I was really had nothing to do all day and I had a lot of time and a lot of money, because taking on the responsibility of somebody else's child or children is going to require time and money. There's no way around it. So I don't want to be engaged with a relationship with a woman who has children. That's my choice. And neither does Steve Montelli. And on that we agree, because there are other complications. The child needs stuff to go to school, needs a cell phone, needs a computer, needs books, needs clothes, needs dental treatment, needs doctor care, gonna want Christmas and a birthday present. All of that a child should have if you're dating a woman with a child. But I personally agree with Steve. I would rather meet a single woman without children. And I did meet two women, one on the jeepney and one in the park, but not when I asked them if they could swim, they said no. And one was afraid of the ocean, and the other one said that she doesn't know how to swim. And that would be a prerequisite, that I would want that characteristical trait, to meet a woman that knows how to swim. And for some strange reason, these women live on an island that's really not that big, and they've never been in the ocean. The one woman I met on the jeepney had never even been to Pangalau, let alone been to the ocean. She'd never been out of the city, and she was about 19 or 20. So I agree with Steve. I agree with Steve. I'm all in for Steve's mental acuity when it comes to women. He likes dating women. He likes to take the women out for a dinner and a drink. He enjoys women's company, and he meets women that want to date a man who can take them out for dinner and a drink and don't want children. And he's right up front about the whole thing. So all this talk about Steve Montelli, and he flies back and forth to the Philippines 38 times. Who cares? Who cares? I wish I had that ability. I wouldn't do it. I'd spend my money on something else. But I wouldn't be. I'm not jealous of it. Yeah, John Boone Bean, he speaks Portuguese, but he leaves too many comments, that guy. Okay. So, thank you, the Silent Fist. Yeah, no, I haven't been on YouTube in 2 weeks, in about 10 days, and wanted to tell the story of the voice behind the rag. I don't know why. I think it's because in a few days would be my dad's anniversary, that when he died. So I was thinking about my dad and the last time that we were all together. So John Escape, envy and jealousies will destroy the best man without doubt. Well, certainly not the best man. There's no doubt about that. Didn't take much. So Tequila Reef, Steve Montelli says he was at a bar called Tequila Reef. Okay, well, yeah, I watched that whole video where you were filming the guy who got out of that little electric tricycle, and they moved the motorcycles over so the little electric tricycle could get in there. I thought that was pretty cool. Steve, if you're still here, I guess you are. Oh, yeah, Steve. Oh, God. Well, it by the definition of this so-called man, he redefined the word pedophilia and stated, I'm redefining the word pedophilia, stated it in the video, that he's redefining the word pedophilia. And if you date a woman that's 40 years younger than you, he redefined it for that person to be a pedophile. Didn't make you a pedophile. He didn't call you a pedophile, but he redefined the word pedophile, which made you a pedophile. Okay, I'll redefine the word pedophile further. If you date a woman that's more than 2 years younger than you, you're a pedophile. That's what this so-called man did. So, and he made it perfectly clear that Steve Montelli was dating a woman 40 years his junior, and that put you into his redefined word of pedophilia. It was an amazing video. Somebody did anybody else here see that video? I was laughing. Yeah, Silent Fist. Okay, who likes fruit that hasn't been ripe. That's probably a good way of putting it. Thank you. Jack Thompson says the little fella is a pervert, addicted to watching porn. Plus, he has a used condom collection. He's disgusting. Well, I'm not real sure about any of that, but that's what Jack Thompson's opinion is, and he's entitled to that. It's not that much fun, all that flying. No, of course not. No. Steve says there's a great line, going from tedium to apathy and back again. That's me. Okay, well said. Most people are going to have to look up the word tedium. Well, Dennis Adams. Welcome to the machine, Dennis Adams. Welcome to the... Yeah, Peter did the same thing. But Peter had... Peter did that. Well, yeah, Peter did the same thing. You're right about that. He did. Peter was an outspoken person. And now he's out of the Philippines, Peter is, I do believe. Unless he snuck back in. Yeah, Jack, that's true. That's true. That's true. So let's go on to the next egregious comment that I have in my notes. So we have crazy day left me because I stink like dead rotten whale flesh. Classic line. The Bahal walrus can't get it up with a crane. It took me to supply you with the facts. On my channel, we only speak facts. No hearsay, no lies. And then he introduces a new team member, one of YouTube's most egregious trolls, who will never be back on my channel. And this guy was slinging mud at Miss Daisy May like 10 pounds a minute. And this so-called man welcomes this so-called troll onto his channel, and all they did in the comments section were call me names such as the comment was allowed in the comments section. It's at the 10-minute and 5 mark, 10-minute and 5-second mark. I have the comments recorded, and that they were allowing Daisy May comments that I'm not even going to say what they said about Daisy May, but I will say what they said about me. Fazio is a pedophile. And then this so-called man laughs. Okay? Now I'm not a pedophile. And I can guarantee you that no one ever called me a pedophile before, except the commenter in that video. And I've heard that word used by certain so-called men, but I don't know where it is in which video, so I won't say that the person said it till I can find it. Then I'll say it. So this so-called man, welcome to my team, XXX. And then he doesn't name the name of the team, but I'm going to call it Team Douche, in my opinion. Okay? That's what I'm going to call it, Team Douche. So then he goes on to say, on my channel, we speak facts, not hearsay or lies. Crazy Day left his fat butt, but he uses the ASS word, because he has flesh-eating virus on his foot. That's why Crazy Day left me. And I'll show you this is a quote. Okay, so I call, when he welcomed the troll, welcome to my team. Well, he never named the name of the team, so I'm going to call his team Team Douche. Okay, let's get that cleared up right now. Let's Team Douche. douche. Team douche. For allowing people to say that now he says this word, the so-called man says, this is a quote, Crazy Day left his fat butt because he has flesh-eating virus on his foot. Let's make that big so you can see it. So there's no mistake as to what was being said. Because he has flesh-eating virus on his foot. Because he has flesh-eating virus on his foot, Crazy Day left his fat butt. Because he has flesh-eating virus on his foot. Because he had flesh-eating virus on his foot, Crazy Day left his fat buttocks. Because he has flesh-eating virus on his foot, Crazy Day left his fat buttocks. Because he has flesh-eating virus on his foot, Crazy Day left him. Now that, I gotta tell you. Number one, I never had flesh-eating bacteria on my foot, ever. I've never had flesh-eating bacteria virus. Number two, that's not why Daisy and I are not together. Now, the only thing I will ever say about Daisy and I not being together is that we are both okay with that. And we are still friends. So all of this so-called blah, blah, blah that this so-called man puts out on the internet about any kind of mental problems that Daisy and I have with each other, as if there's any anger issues between us, it's all nonsense. None of it ever happened. It never happened, and it's never going to happen as far as I'm concerned. We may lose touch with each other eventually. I mean, she's going to go her way and I'm going to go mine, but we'll never be, in my opinion, I don't think we'll ever be angry with each other. So all that crap that you heard on this so-called man's channel about Daisy and I breaking up, and why? It's all lies. There is no truth to any of it. And when she did leave, from that day forward, we talk on a regular basis. And there's never been a conversation that we got upset with each other and hung up with each other, ever. And there's never going to be, as far as I'm concerned. But this is the kind of stuff that people think that they're allowed to say on YouTube. And when I say it, I'll repeat it. They think they're allowed to say it on YouTube. They only think that because their thoughts or their feelings become reality. I don't have flesh-eating bacteria. I never had flesh-eating bacteria. And Daisy didn't leave me because I have flesh-eating bacteria, and she didn't leave me because I smell like dead, rotting whale flesh. That's the truth. So, okay, so, and next comment. No, Steve, actually, no, they don't. No, I don't even know what one is because I never looked it up. But I do believe that it has to do with having, sexual relations with a 13-year-old or younger. But hello, Page High, Dr. Page High. Thank you very much for stopping by. There are there are two doctors that have acknowledged, and I will acknowledge that they're doctors that watch my videos. However, I just am blessed with two people of such high education. There are a lot of people highly educated. I mean, Dennis Adams, now that Steve Montelli's here, John Escape, we talk. I talk with John all the time. He's a way intelligent guy, as are a lot of other people on here that are watching. And two doctors that come to watch these videos. Now, of course, they're probably married. One is married to a Filipina for sure. But one thing I could tell you, without hesitation, but without naming people, I cannot tell you how many high-ranking government officials watch my channel from different countries, but I will tell you that there are some high-ranking government officials that watch my videos, and I just happened to be friends with them. And I didn't know what they did when I first became friends with them and talked to them on the phone or through Skype, but eventually, after a few years, they talk. I said, "What is it that you do, by the way?" And then when I go, you are, my goodness, you are like these are the, like, in the world, these in America, these are like, here's the top in high-ranking government officials, and here is them right there underneath with no space between. There's quite a few. There's even a profiler on my channel that watches my videos, and he profiles people's mental acuity, and he's a real profiler for real. That was his job, and the profile that he ran on me and the profile that he ran on this so-called man, two completely different profiles, and I got this. I never divulge anybody's job or anything like that, but I'm telling you, there are two prestigious doctors, Paige High and Dr. Clark Henderson, and several way high-ranking government officials and other types of authoritative figures that watch, both in the Philippines and in America, and they have not ever said, Mike, no, they've never said, Mike, maybe you should chill. Never. They just love the way I present this stuff, and there's never been a comment like, you went overboard. Never. Now, I might say things that other people don't like, and that's my opinion. That's my commentary, if you know what I mean. But nobody's ever said to me, Mike, you crossed the line. Now, there are people out there who have feelings that I crossed the line, but I never did. I have not. So let's go back to the comments. Thank you, Paige. Welcome to the machine. Thank you very much for your pleasant comments and your friendship over the years. Steve Montelli, big fan. Paige High thank you, Fazio. You're welcome. You're welcome, Paige High. Thank you. He's a big fan of Steve Montelli. See, the one thing that I can tell you about my channel, and I'm not being facetious, I'm not bragging or anything like that. A lot of the people on my channel are highly educated, but not by school necessarily. Most of them are, but are highly achieved or well-motivated and achievers in real life. So not necessarily college scholarships and degrees, although there are a lot of them, and you'd be surprised who they are. But they're highly motivated, successful entrepreneurs, small business owners, creators, but much more intelligent than a lot of the other channels. Yeah, but Steve says, if you want to have brain drain, read Michael's book. It's a hard read. But if you read it, like Steve Montelli's always saying, you have to read my book one word at a time, and you do. It's 1,990 pages, 602,000 words, and 602,000 letters, excuse me. And I don't know how many hundreds of thousands of words. And it's hard, but I proved that the Ark of the Covenant's on the back of the dollar bill. And nobody's ever challenged my book. And I don't know where my book sales are. I haven't sold the book since Monday, but I'm thinking somewhere in the 4,000, high 3,000, low 4,000s, my book sold. I'd have to go to Amazon and open up pages that I haven't opened up in years. They just send money into my account. But I sold a lot of copies, and no one's ever challenged anything in my book, ever. And because they can't. And why can't they? Because I break it down that the Bible and the $1 bill are connected in ways that I describe in the book. Some super race of beings that probably placed us here to begin with, or have controlled this world. Either they come from this world or they come from another world. There's no way of knowing. This is how advanced they are. They either come from this world and have always existed on this world, and it's their home base, or they visit this world, but they have controlled this world. This is the key. They have always controlled everything in this world. That includes the Vatican and our governments and Israel. That includes the Masons, the Illuminati, the Black Hand. They control everything and always have. They built the Great Pyramids. They built the Great Pyramids. They wrote the Bible. The Bible and the pictographs on the dollar bill are so interconnected, nobody believes me. But one thing that you can believe is that on my page, with 67,000 views, my homepage video, no one ever, one time ever in 10 years has ever challenged that what I put on my homepage as far as pictographs of the Skull and Bones Society, the Bohemian Grove Society. Those two are on the dollar bill. No one has ever challenged it because it's right there on the dollar bill. All anybody has to do, and I'll show you if I can find it, all anybody has to do is take a dollar bill out of their pocket and just go like this. Just go like this. Just fold it like that. And there is the Yale Skull and Bones. It's right there. 6 teeth on the bottom, 6 teeth on the top, and 6 lines comprise the eyes. There it is, 666, which represents the number 18. Then there are 3 contiguous lines around the outside of the face. That's the number 3, and 2 lines around the outside of the ears. 1832. In pictographic format, that's the year the Skull and Bones Society was formed. And here is the Great Horned Owl that represents the Bohemian Grove Society. Okay, there it is. I'm the first person in recorded history to show you these 2 things in a public venue. I'm the last person in recorded history to ever make mention of it. Nobody ever said it before, and nobody ever said it afterwards. Nobody ever tried to say this wasn't the Yale Skull and Bones. Nobody ever tried to say this wasn't the Bohemian Grove Owl. And no one has ever taken my challenge that this is a pictograph of the Ark of the Covenant. So, I hear myself referenced as the dollar bill guy and his strange ideas, his ideas of what the dollar bill means, the pictures. First of all, they're not pictures. Second of all, it's not my idea of what I think it means. It's what it is, in fact, what it means. Everything I just said is factual. Nobody has ever come forth to challenge me. Not Jordan Maxwell, not David Icke, not Alex Jones, not Dave Coxwell, I think David Coxwell, I forgot, David Wilcox, not anybody, not Eric H. Klein, the world's leading expert on the Ark of the Covenant in the world. The go-to guy is Eric H. Klein. That's the go-to guy. You want to know about the Ark of the Covenant, you go to George Washington University in Washington, D.C., and you try to get an appointment with Eric H. Klein. He's the go-to guy on what the Ark of the Covenant is not, was, how it was made. And I challenged him to a $50,000 challenge, and he wouldn't even return my mail. He only had to spend 1 hour in New York City with me. I was going to let him debate me. I was going to prove the Ark of the Covenant's on the dollar bill in pictographic format, and he's the world's leading expert, and he didn't see it. That makes me smarter than the world's leading expert on the dollar bill. That makes me smarter than Eric H. Klein. That makes me smarter than anybody, Jordan Maxwell, David Icke, the Vatican. That makes me smarter than all of those people, because I am the only person that put the words to the Bible together with the pictures. Maybe some of those people knew some of the pictures existed, but they didn't know why or how it related. This system of pictographs and words, pictographs on the dollar bill and words in the King James Bible that was supposed to have been written by Sir Francis Bacon in 1611, that's a bunch of nonsense. That's a bunch of nonsense. Somebody handed Sir Francis Bacon a final copy of the draft of the King James Bible, just like the plates for the U.S. $1 bill came into existence in a matter of hours. Somebody handed them the plates. Here's the plates that you're going to use for the dollar bill. There was nobody there were no scribers making the plates for the dollar bill. When the president wanted to make the back of the dollar bill, he wanted to put a turkey on the back of the dollar bill. And now it's an eagle. That all happened overnight. The plates just miraculously came into existence. If you go through history and find out how the plates for the dollar bill, it was a guy on a horse handed the guy a set of plates in a velvet bag. And that's where the dollar bill came from. And the Bible that Sir Francis Bacon wrote or rewrote or edited, that's nonsense. It's just pure nonsense that the words in the King James Bible could sync up to the pictographs on the dollar bill. That nobody will ever debate me on this topic, ever. Not one person alive on this planet will ever debate me on this topic. Nobody. David Icke is a complete idiot when it comes to pictographs on the dollar bill. He gets fed a certain amount of information, and they made him famous to be what they call an agent. I forget, one of those, like a CIA plant, Jordan Maxwell, he's a complete moron. He doesn't even know what the pictographs on the... I wrote him 17 letters. He never responded. David Wilcox, he's a joke. Let him go play his music. Alex Jones, fraud. George Norrie, fraud. Talked to George Norrie on the phone, wouldn't talk to me for 10 seconds. Fraud. Mike Rivero, fraud. All going to give you the truth? Nonsense. I'm the only person in the world that ever put the words to the Bible, to the pictures on the dollar bill, and then proved it. And these people... So when I get called the dollar bill guy, and then I'm putting... By the way, that was a great reference to prove that it was me you were talking about in the video, and you know what I'm talking about. When you called me the dollar bill guy, who has the dollar bill all over his channel, that could only mean Michael Fazio. That could only be one person. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you very much. Thank you. Salamat. So when I hear people say, when that guy said the dollar bill guy, that's the dollar. When you see somebody that has the dollar bill on his channel, that's the guy. When you see somebody that bangs a pot on his head, that's the guy. Really. That's the guy. That's the guy. Yeah, without mentioning my name, you described me. Salamat. Good night, John. Thank you for stopping by. Thanks for helping me out here. Thank you, John. You have a great night. It was nice talking to you the other day. It was a little bit lengthy conversation, an hour and 20 minutes, but it was a good conversation. So let's get back to the most egregious statements said about myself and Daisy May. And we want one more time, thank you for calling me the dollar bill guy. And thank you saying the guy who bangs the pot on his, that's the guy. The guy who bangs the pot on his head, that's the guy. That's the guy. Thank you, thank you, thank you. And of course, no slander would be complete without allowing his subscribers to innuendo Michael Fazio. By innuendo, Michael Fazio is a pedophile. And that is in at the 10-minute and 5-second mark in one of their so-called man's slanderous, in my opinion, videos. And of course, calling Dave, the great Dave, because today we're buddies. Tomorrow he ain't going to be the great Dave, but today he's the great Dave. And calling the great Dave a molester and his wife an effing bar girl multiple times with hate and anger in your voice, and then saying, how do you like me now? I called your wife an effing bar girl. That's right. I called your wife an effing bar girl. How do you like me now? Taunting the great Dave. Oh, that was a classic line. But all those things pale in comparison to the video wherein this so-called man tells Warren H. to die, mother effer, die of cancer, you mother effer, die, 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 just die. I don't care that you have cancer, just die, you mother effer. That is got to be, I would say, the most vile, and that's by chance the name of the video. That's the most vile thing ever said on YouTube. To a man who has nothing but friends on YouTube. There isn't anybody that doesn't like Warren H. So that was quite the soundbite, that die 14 times directed at Warren H. Thank you for those. And again, I will thank everybody for the various 22 videos. I'm still waiting. I did leave a comment at 3 o'clock in the morning. I don't know. You know, everybody has jobs and stuff. I'm still waiting for the video that I said was in my spam folder. The name of the, I said that there was, I've been busy. I've been very busy. So I haven't checked my spam folder. I haven't been on YouTube in 10 days. I have other things that I do, and I had other things that I had to do, and I did those other things. So there was spam in my folder, and I saw it at 2:45 in the morning, and I replied to it immediately. So if you're watching, and you might be, and I'm glad you're not commenting, that's good. If you're watching that video with the soundbite that you mentioned, I did send you my email. I would appreciate it if you would send me a link, and I'll download the video and upload it to my channel, and then I will tell you that it's done, and you can remove it, or I'll just download it and put it in a file. That would make it a lot easier, but I'll just download it into my downloads and just put it in my files. Appreciate that. Thank you. So getting back to Warren H., that was got to be the most vile statement I've ever heard anybody say against the nicest guy on YouTube. Thank you for that. And thank you for sending me the original video. I do appreciate it. Actually, that video was sent to me by one was an audio file 2 weeks ago. One was the original yesterday morning, and I had an audio file. So it was sent to me twice in 1 week. So anybody that's thinking about sending me the original video of the vile one, I don't need that. But, you know, if you have a group of videos and it's in there already, send it anyway. That'll be fine. So people, as I said, people have been sending me these videos for about 1.5 years now. I had 64 videos available that would work for a project that I'm working on, but there's a lot more. But these 64 and the ones and the 3 I got last night and the one that's coming that was in the spam folder to the man that I was talking to about the spam folder. That makes 68. One more will be 69. So what we're going to talk about now is I'm going to go back to the comments, and I'm going to give you the a lot of people have been doing dating site videos. Now, I haven't done one of those in a long time, and I'm going to do a dating site video. I am going to teach you how to meet. I'm telling you, I'm going to guarantee you, I don't care. And not only am I going to guarantee you to meet a woman on a dating site that will treat you well, that will treat you nicely, I'm going to teach you how to meet some of the most attractive women in the world on a dating site, which you don't think is possible. But there's a formula, and I've worked it out. Now, before I met Daisy, I probably talked to 3,000 people, even if just one sentence. I could show you the emails that I kept them from as far back as 2010. But I have a way worked out, and I'm not going to give you the secret formula now, but I have a way worked out. I will, there are beautiful young women in the Philippines that will date any foreigner that's kind to them with not a lot of money. But some of the most beautiful women in the Philippines are the easiest women to meet because they're looking for a foreigner. And I will do a special dating site extravaganza. And I'm even going to go onto a dating site and show you. When I clear up my page, I'm going to throw like 10 of the most. I mean, the pictures are real. Okay, I've met quite a few women, and I've never met a woman whose picture wasn't. I did. I met a woman back in August whose picture was real. She said she was 27 years old. Turns out she was 30. And the picture was taken when she was about 23. But it was her. But I've never met a woman with fake pictures. And she just wasn't for me. But I did meet a girl who used a picture that was like 7 or 8 years old. But I also have met just by saying hello and sending them a nice note, I get back many actual responses. And if they just say the word okay or yes, then I just go to the next one. I need somebody with just a little more education than that. So, but I'm going to guarantee you, I will absolutely guarantee you in one day, in one 10-hour day, that you will be with one of the best looking women in the Philippines. And there's a formula to it, and I will not tell you the formula until I do my dating site video. But there is no way for failure. All you need to do is have enough money to go visit them and then find out if you like them. That's the only guarantee. That's the only way that you can fail is once you meet. But I guarantee you, the most beautiful women on any dating site will madly be interested in meeting you if you follow the Fazio formula for dating in the Philippines, baby. Guaranteed. I'm talking, you can't fail. Even, I don't know if you could fail. I don't know anybody that could fail. But I have this formula, and it is a formula that involves numbers, but it works. Okay, so I'm going to go back to the comments now because I'm done. I can't show you this page that I have, but the formula is right there in front of me. And what you need to do is just be yourself and just do a certain thing and say a certain thing. Guaranteed one of the most beautiful women in the world is going to be interested to meet you. At that point, then it's up to you and her chemistry. But I guarantee you 10 hours on the internet and you'll have the most beautiful woman that you've ever seen in your entire life. But again, you have to meet the person and then have it proven. All right. Good night, John. John Boone Bean. Good night, John. Always good conversation. Yes, we did have a nice conversation. Slim Jim, welcome to the machine. I've been sick. No comments, mate. Yeah, I noticed that you've been off sick. That's sad. Not who needs to be sick. One of my brothers got sick New Year's Eve. He got the flu, and by the third week of January, didn't answer the phone for a couple of weeks, which is normal. But by the third week of January, he lost 28 pounds. So I hear you. Baggy Eyes is in the background absorbing this information. Yeah, I'm telling you. Oh, that's okay. Yeah, that's fine. That message is okay. Cool. Yeah. My backhoe. I miss my backhoe. I I don't know if I miss my backhoe or my ocean racer more. I loved ripping trees out of the ground. I loved that. I just love operating heavy equipment. Once I had the opportunity to operate the Weeks 501. It was this is just some, for those of you who don't know what a crane barge is, the Weeks 501, the Weeks 500 barge, Weeks is Weeks. Weeks is the name of a dredging construction company, Weeks Construction. It's located in New Jersey, the main warehouse. Weeks Dredging, Weeks Construction, Weeks Bridge Building. You can Google it. It's all going to go to Weeks in New Jersey. That's where their headquarters are. So Weeks had a contract to pick up sections of a bridge, and the sections of the bridge weighed, I don't know, upwards of 500 tons. So there was no barge. They didn't have the contract yet, but there was no barge to pick up those sections of a bridge. This goes back into the late 70s or early 80s. And there was no contract, no barges that could pick up the sections of the bridge. None. So Weeks built two sister barges called the Weeks 500 and the Weeks 501. And I ran the 501. It could pick up straight pick, like the boom almost at a vertical, like just a 20-degree incline. It could pick up 500 tons. Now, I never picked up 500 tons, but I picked up 150 tons. And it had a 60-yard muck bucket. So the bucket, when the bucket was open, the clamshell was open. It was to dig out harbors like New York City Harbor, like the harbor, the Gowanus. Well, it wouldn't fit in the Gowanus Canal, but it was to dredge out entire hundreds of square acres of material. Millions of cubic yards it would move in a day. Millions, not in one day, in a week. And it used to pick up one scoop picked up what they call a heaped load of 90 cubic yards. And you could do one of those, you could cycle it one every minute. So if you worked for 60 minutes and you were a good operator and you were cycling at 160, 190 yard heaped load, you'd do 60 times 90. So what is that? 10 times 60 is 600. You do 6,000 yards an hour. So you do 10 hours a day, because that's what the job was. You're doing 600,000 yards a day with one barge, one crane. But in that day, there would be 3 shifts. So you were doing 1 million cubic yards a day with the 500 or the 501. And when I operated it, it had a 60-yard muck bucket. Now, muck bucket is for like digging clay and sand. And the bucket weighed I don't know, it was over 100 tons the bucket weighed. The rock bucket weighed over 100 tons. I'm not sure what the muck bucket weighed, maybe 80 tons. The rock bucket was well over 100 tons. And it was an amazing machine. So I operated some big. Now, I liked doing that, but to dredge a harbor is just repetitive. In, out, up, down, over, in, out, wait for the barge to slip up, because they'd always have a barge behind it. You'd move, the barges would be made up front to front, and the barge would just slip up, and then they would take the front barge off and move it to, it's called a dump scow, not necessarily, it's a dump scow, but it's a barge. And I like doing that, but I like my backhoe because you go into people's yards, you ride it down the road, you work on the Air Force station. I love that kind of stuff. I loved ripping out trees. I still do like ripping out trees. And every once in a while, some of the equipment I do things on, I play with it. The guy goes, you know how to run? I go, let me run the machine. He goes, you know how to run this machine? I'm going, yeah, I can run the machine better than you. Okay? Let me get in the machine. Just let me at it. And they go, holy, they think, wow, the Cano can run the machine. And sometimes there are some good Filipino operators here. I got to tell you that. Now, but on the older machines with the stick levers and stuff like that, I'm good. Now, the joystick one, I'm okay with the joystick, but a lot of the machines here are older, and I'll have to go out and do something to one of them, and I'm good. I'm good. Same thing with the cranes, the live boom, live wire crane with asbestos brakes. I'm good with those too. Probably as good as it gets. Maybe among the best in the world. That's how good I was with those kind of cranes. But I don't do that kind of work anymore. But I just love ripping stuff out of the ground. Whenever there's a tree or something like that, and they're doing a job, let me knock that tree down. Come on, let me knock that tree. Come on, I'll show you. And they don't think I know how to pop a tree. You know, there's a certain way to pop a tree where you don't kill yourself or any of the men are going to be far away. But I've dropped 80-foot coconut trees, 35, 36 inches in diameter at the base. Those things, they will crush you, the cab of the machine. They'll crush the engine compartment. They'll flip the machine right over like it was a toy. You're talking about an 80-foot high coconut tree, and I'm going, let me pop that out. You know how to do that? I'm going, I'll show you how to do it. Let me get in the machine. And one guy lets me get in the machine, and once he realized I know how to do it, he was going to, I'm not going to say he didn't know how to do it because that was his job, but when I showed him how to pop out a coconut tree, he went, okay, because there's a way to do it. And he was just, I don't know if he ever did that before. I don't know. But he was going about it in a way that I would consider dangerous. And once I showed him, then he was okay, because there was like 40 trees that had to get popped out. Ugly American living in the Philippines. Welcome to the machine, Ugly American. Thank you for stopping by. I don't think I've ever seen you before. If you're a new member, I'm not. They don't call me Mr. Congeniality for nothing. I'm a very, my topics vary. So anyway, I love operating heavy equipment, and I still get a chance to do it from time to time. Mostly I'm just changing oil and switching filters out and stuff like that. But today's, let's see, where is that list I have for the city? Okay, where's my list? Okay, we need, for the machine, we need battery acid, because the batteries are low. They're junk, these batteries, but I'm going to try to bring them back. We need transmission fluid, 2 5-gallon buckets, and 5 gallons of 40 weight oil. That's the list that I have to pick up the next time I go to the city, and that I need to service that, and that would probably take. Well, I have the filters already, because the store that sells the filters I was at when I went to the province of Bohol Capitol building, that there's a filter place up there that sells hydraulic filters. They don't have the hydraulic filter I need, so I have to disassemble these filters, pull out the guts of the filter, and put in a new paper filter. But they sell filters that I can use to replace the cartridges. I have to take the filters apart and then epoxy them back together. But the 5-gallon oil, to give you an idea how they sell filters cheaper than the other store, but the other store doesn't have the size filter cartridge that I need. But their transmission fluid, 68, number 68 hydraulic fluid, is 3,200 pesos. And in the other store I buy the fluid from, it's 2,300 pesos. It's like they got the numbers mixed up. So that's 1,000 pesos. 1,000 pesos difference on 2 5-gallon buckets is 2,000 pesos. And on the 5-gallon number 40, which is a standard American diesel fluid oil, in the hydraulic shop, the 5 gallons of number 40 oil is 4,000 pesos. And in the other shop, it's 2,800 pesos. That's 1,200 pesos. So 2 times 1,000, and I'll probably pick up 2 buckets of 5-gallon. That's 2 times 1,000. 2 times 1,000 is 2,000, and 2 times 1,200 is 2,200. 2,200 and 2,000 is 4,200 pesos. On just these 2 items, I'll save 4,200 pesos, or $84. So that's a big savings. You want me to help you grow your channel. I have no idea anything about your channel, so I'll take a look at your channel later. If I don't like the content, I wouldn't help you, and if I like the content, I'll help you. But let me go look at your channel now. And if you're trolling me, I'll just block you when I get to your channel. So hold on, let me look at your channel. It's a legitimate question. And if you have like 1 video and 1 subscriber, that's just not going to work well. All right, so Goms TV. Goms TV. So okay, so you are a cartoon video kind master. Okay, so you are. It looks like you're Filipino. Is that correct? I don't understand your language. Cartoon videos, and you have how many videos do you have? You got a decent amount of subscribers. Okay, well, you know, if somebody here is, I don't know what these videos are about, but it looks like a legitimate channel. I'll show it. I don't know what these words are, so I can't say to put a link or anything to them, because I'm pretty sure that it's nothing, you know, derogatory, but I don't know what I would be posting, so I can't say anything about it. This is not necessarily a channel of Philippines watchers or subscribers. My channel is mostly based in America, but these are the videos on this person's channel, Goms TV channel. So we'll let that comment appear as a public comment. Not a problem. Yeah, so you're a Filipino. So I'll let the comment show it. Why don't you pick out your favorite video and get the link for your favorite video and post your favorite video and the link here in the post them together, and then give it a little description of what it's about. If it's the Kobe Bryant video, then that's your idea about Kobe Bryant. Me, I said the word Kobe Bryant one time in the last 3 years, just now. I don't watch Kobe Bryant videos, but there's a lot of people that like basketball and felt some love for him. Me, I'm not much of a basketball person. I don't watch sports, but why don't you pick something out that you like and post the link and the name of the video? And thanks for stopping by the way. I don't know what to pick out from your channel because I don't know what you're saying. Not my language. Excuse me. That was well needed, well deserved too. I think I talked for close to 2 hours, 2 hours and 25 minutes without drinking any water. I forgot all about that. But I did have 2 quarts of water for breakfast. All right, so and we're going to end this soon anyway. I want to thank everybody for stopping by. I want to thank that guy. Got to tell you, thanks for pointing out that it was the dollar bill guy you were talking about. Warren would do this. 2 thumbs up. Thanks for saying it's the guy who bangs his head with the pot. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Thanks for saying the Bohol Walrus. It's the guy who looks like a walrus in Bohol. No, I'm not going to mention any names. I'll just describe the guy. The flat earth guy. It's the guy who thinks that the earth is flat. 2 thumbs up. It's the guy that believes in reptiles. Oh, I'm not going to mention his name. I'm not going to mention his name. I'm not going to hurt myself. You're not going to, get a YouTube strike or anything like that. No, you didn't mention my name. Not. So, yeah, you're a trip, dude. You are a trip. What else was it? The guy who thinks he's a tugboat captain. Just because I owned a 188-ton self-propelled barge and crane service and run tugboats for many, many years and owned them. Just because I did that doesn't make me a tugboat captain, does it? No. I'm not going to. The guy who thinks he can fly airplane, yes. The guy who thinks he's a mechanic, that was great. 12 descriptions. That guy who thinks, but I'm not going to mention his name. No, you didn't mention my name. No. You didn't spell out Daisy May's Facebook page name either, just before you started talking about me. You didn't do that. God forbid you did that and spelled it out. Whoa. No, that's her boyfriend. It wasn't me, though, right? You're a real genius. All right. Yeah, it's sure hard to be humble. Oh, God. The things that were said about me in that video. If I turned the tables and said that about another blogger, there would be endless hate and vile comments forever against myself. But The truth is, I've never mentioned anybody, member, any single person that was related to him or any of his friends, ever. Never. But he just can't stop. He has to mention me in almost every video, or make reference and demean and ridicule and malign and all these other possible slanderous, libelous stuff. He has to do it. He's compelled to do that. I don't understand why. And but he's a free spirit. He could do what he wants. But I got to tell you, man, for somebody that never said anything that I could be held accountable for on social media, I beg to differ. Okay, so what we're going to do is we're going to say goodbye to everybody once again. For the people that sent me, not 22 people, but 22 videos were sent to me in the last week since I reached out. Thank you for those videos. For the person that said that they have that video that was in my spam mail, I would much appreciate that video. Even much appreciate it. And if I can, and if you want to send me your telephone number in the email with the link for that video, I will call you up on the phone, and I assure you that nobody will ever know that you and I talked. I assure you that. Steve is still with us. God bless Michael Fazio. Okay. Yep. Yeah. I don't worry about the virus thing. Okay. We should talk about the virus now that there are some people watching. We could talk about that for a minute. Steve Montelli, and rightfully so, made a live stream. I think that Steve is 100% correct. He called it, and it was about PAL Airlines, not free fee return or no fee return. Okay, PAL Airlines, Steve had a ticket to come to the Philippines, and I think he said the ticket price was $569 to get to the Philippines round trip, which is a fantastic price. But Steve wanted, I don't think this is fair what they did to you either, Steve. He wanted to cancel the ticket with PAL because of this coronavirus. One way, $569. That's still a great price because that's only $1,128, $18, 69. Yes, 18, $1,136. The 569. That's 1,000, and 69 and 69 is 120, 138. Okay, so yeah, that's only $1,138. So that's still a great price. But they wanted to remove $250 from his ticket for penalty fee because of the virus. That's ridiculous. That's 40% of the price of the ticket. And it's a legitimate excuse to not fly. And I would not worry about getting the virus because I don't believe I will. I mean, I have a pretty healthy immune system. But I wouldn't want to get it. But from what I heard about, I read one of the guys that are on this watching right now sent me what's the name of the people who World Health Organization, the people who created the viruses and make the viruses spread viral, the World Health Organization that are supposed to be helping the world, but actually are allowing these things to escape into different countries. Those people who, I read the article and how they're trying to scare people by different ways, that saying that the virus can sit, like if you touch this roll of tape, the virus remains alive for 5 days, or a doorknob, or a refrigerator, or a cell phone, or a door handle in a supermarket, or a supermarket cart. The virus remains alive for 5 days. Well, the virus also and I read the article and listened to read one long article and listened to the video. The virus also can enter into your eyes from a sneeze. It can enter into your mouth. It can enter into a cut. It can enter any fluid from any bodily fluid. So it can enter through the mouth. You can breathe it in. It can go in through your eye, and if you have a cut or sex. So there's no way that you're going to defend against this. So the masks are just a way for the 3M and probably most mask companies are probably their parent company is 3M. I don't imagine anybody's mask. I don't imagine any decent mask in the world being made by any other company than 3M. I have masks here for painting, if I do some spray painting, but I don't know what kind of masks these are. 3M, Nosh, TC84, N95s. Just happens to be an N95. I found these when I went to New York. I found a pile of them in a Western Union store. There was a pile about this high. And somebody had left them there. And I brought them from where the counter was to the window. And I said, somebody left these masks here. And a guy grabbed the pile of the masks. I guess I don't know, maybe he did auto body. And he grabbed all the masks and he left. He goes, how many do you want? I said, well, I don't use masks that much. Just give me 2. And he walked out with the masks. So whoever's masks they were, I got 2 of these. But anyway, and this is a good mask. These are the only 2 I have. I might have one more in somewhere, but I think I only kept 2. So they're scaring people to death. Okay, so the Wuhan Institute of Virology had escapes. I'm not buying that bat soup story. Yeah, I don't. Okay, we'll talk a little bit of politics here. I don't believe anything that the United States government tells you when it comes to our health. Okay, look at those people. And I'm not sure where it is, but the people whose water, where there's fracking, and they fracking, I don't want to tell you how fracking works, but they pump high pressure water into the ground to get oil out. So where they're fracking for oil, they're pumping a chemical similar to diesel, something like along the lines of diesel fuel or gasoline. They're pumping it into the ground. And that breaks up the oil in the shale, and then the oil comes to the top. Hello, Shiny Music Vlog. Welcome to the machine. I remember your name. So anyway, happy Sunday back at you. So anyway, they pump this chemical in the ground, and the people, they know that the fracking of the chemical that they pump into the ground, they're 100,000% sure it's coming from the fracking. And now it's 40 years, and they're just starting to admit that it's the fracking that's making the water. The water comes out of the faucet, right out of the faucet. Here, you take the water, you put it in a cup like this, and you light a match on top of the bowl, and the water goes on fire because it's from the fracking chemical. It took them 40 years to agree that it was from fracking. And also in those same areas, the big water companies, they knew about the fracking long before the fracking occurred, because these are all major corporations, all owned by big, giant corporations, and the board of directors are all the senators and all the criminals that run America. They all have these inside the dope on the stock market and stuff like that. So you have a border like Pepsi-Cola. They bought 10,000 acres of land outside the fracking area, where the only fresh water outside the fracking area exists. And then they're selling water for $1 a gallon, and it's costing them a half a penny to, a gallon to get it out of the thing. These people that run all of these big companies, they want you to spend your money on doctors. They want you to buy these masks. Now, I have a proper full face gear when I do a lot of spray painting. I have full with, cartridge, carbon cartridge filters. But that's a 3M mask, and the mask is $135. The cartridges are $10 a pop for, 2 cartridges, $10. And you can't get replacements here in the Philippines, but I have a case of them. But either way, they want you to go out and buy these masks. They want you to go get a flu shot when the flu shot doesn't do a darn thing for you. They are the people. What happened to Fukushima? Does anybody remember Fukushima, where they allowed the 5,000 troops? I think it was the USS Kennedy or the Eisenhower that went to bring fresh water to the people in Fukushima. They allowed them to be radioactively contaminated. The pilots, the planes, the deck, the captain, all the technicians, all the jet mechanics. They allowed them to be irradiated, and they shut the radiation detectors off so that no one would know that they were being irradiated. And then Mr. Obama, what he did, he had them shut off all radiation detectors on all facilities that were run by the government, all in America, all gone, shut them off. Shut them off. We don't want to know if there's radiation coming. And then when he was asked if there was radiation coming to America from Fukushima, he said, there's no readings that depict that there's radiation coming from Fukushima. No, we don't know of any radiation in America. And what about the Gulf oil disaster? I lived there. They said that 40,000 gallons of core exit, COREXIT, core exit. It's self-explanatory. Core, COR, the core of something. Exit means it makes the core of something exit. Okay, that's what it did. On a molecular level, core exit broke the oil down. And they said that 40,000 gallons, and they stuck to the figure that only 40,000 gallons were used. It was 40 million plus gallons that were used. And they eventually came out with the truth. And I had a friend of mine that was going to fly over the Gulf. They said they'd shoot him down he was going to fly out of Homestead and do some videos. They said, if you fly over the Gulf, we'll shoot you down. Why? Why is flying over the Gulf dangerous? How is it dangerous? How is it dangerous to fly over the Gulf? You're going to shoot the plane down, but the guy is only flying over the Gulf. So how is it dangerous? Isn't you shooting the pilot down more dangerous than him flying over the Gulf of Mexico, which is what he does every day, on a daily basis, flies from, around the Gulf, giving short day trips and stuff for people over the Gulf? No, they didn't want you to see the oil spill. And then I don't care what anybody says. I wrote it down on a piece of paper, how they could shut that pipe off and stop the oil from coming out of that pipe. Problem was, it was more than one leaky pipe, but eventually they clamped on a machine like a chainsaw, and it cut the pipe close to where it was coming out of the ground. And they had this machine from day one. It wasn't something they invented or built. And they just slipped a valve over the pipe, just like this. If this is they cut the pipe here like this. They just cut it off. Now they have a flush end, and they just took a valve on. They had a mechanical thing, and they just slipped the valve over the pipe like this, over the pipe, and it clamped down, and they shut the valve off. They could have did that on day one. They let that oil spill out into the Gulf of Mexico for 40-something days, 50-something days. Every fish in the Gulf of Mexico was pretty much dead as soon as it swam through the core exit, which coagulated at different thermals in the Gulf of Mexico. And then it destroyed the tourism, and the people that lost their tourism businesses, big corporations came in and bought their property for, like, if the property was worth, say the property was a $1 million property, they bought it for $50,000 because the people couldn't pay the mortgage. So big corporations came in and bought them out. The government is not necessarily here to help you. You know, in most cases, in the United States, in most cases, like the Gulf oil disaster, they said they wouldn't spray Corexit over land, and they sprayed it over for miles inland from the Gulf of Mexico, all around. People, tens of thousands of people died from that. And they said, no, that's not from us spraying it. No, that's not from us. That stuff, the men that were out on the boats spraying it on the water, they were dead within weeks, some of them. Some of them died right there on the boat. They would breathe that stuff in. It went into their lungs and melted their lungs, made their lungs like a jellyfish, and they just coughed up blood and died. And the government said, no, that's not from the Corexit. No, it's not from that. No, it wasn't from that. The government is, Steve and I are right on the same page. The government is not, in America, the government is not there to make your life expectancy go to 100. If the governments of the United States wanted you to live to be 100 years old, you could live to be 100 years old. If you look at Pelosi, how old is she? 90, 89, 90, 92, 93. They all the state senators and congressmen, they all live well into their 90s. All the princes and kings of England, they all live into their 90s. Their medical treatment isn't much different than what we could get for the same price. It's just that they don't give us that kind of medical treatment. They could do that. They could, and they probably have life extension even more than 100 years old. They probably have that ability. They just don't do it. You don't know what they have and what they don't have. The technology that we had in 1960 is just coming out now, the technology in their super secret laboratories. People think I'm joking, but I'm not joking. In 1960, they could take a small piece of metal and break it down molecularly and move it to another place on a molecule level. That's where the idea of the transporter from Star Trek came from. In 1960, they could do that. They couldn't do it with human flesh or mice or anything like that, but they could move molecules of certain metals from one place to another electronically, like a transporter. And that's where Star Trek transporter technology, thought processing came from. Now, about 3 weeks ago, I read that they have the ability to move certain metals, not all things, but they're just saying that they can do it on a regular basis now, easy. But who knows what they have? And that's just what they say they have. There's technology on this world that doesn't come from this world. I mean, there's technology. You think that 30, 40, 50 million people that have seen alien spacecraft for the last 2,000, 4,000 years, you think all of those are hoaxes? What would be flying in the sky 2,000 years ago? What would have been flying in the sky 200 years ago? What would have been flying in the sky 500 years ago? Nothing but birds. And yet, people for thousands of years have said they see large spaceships flying in the sky and people with spacesuits on. The government knows about this, just like the playlist I have on my page. Giant skeletons as big as 36 feet. Real physical skeletons as big as 36 feet in length. Real skeletons, 12 feet, 16 feet, 20, 24 feet, and 36 feet that the Museum of Natural History bought for hundreds of millions of dollars in the year 1909, I think it was. And all of the bones and all of the skeletons, they burned them all. They said they were all fakes. They spent hundreds of millions of dollars buying them, and then they burnt them, saying they were fakes. No, they weren't fakes. Now there are 0 bones from 10,000 bone collections of giants in the last 200 years, about 240 years. There's 10,000 large skeletons bigger than 7'10", 7'11" up to 36 feet. 10,000 discoveries, and the big museums and anthropology museums and places like that, laboratories, they bought all the bones for as many as they could all over the world, and all those bones disappeared. Why? Because it proves that our past history is not what we've been told it is. And those bones being buried proves that ancient burial sites, 2,000, 4,000, 1,500, 1,000 years, even 1,000 years ago, had people as big as 36 feet. They found people buried. Real people, real human looking beings, but 36 feet tall. That's because the government, I always kid around. I'm like the government. I'm here to help. They're not here to help you. They're not going to tell you the truth. That my discovery on the dollar bill should be one of the greatest discoveries of all time in all of history. And look, I put out a video this morning and got 94 views with 18,700 subscribers. Not only that, I've had 18,700 subscribers for 9 months. Never changed. Hasn't changed in 9 months. How's that possible? How do I get 94 views on a really cool video about dancing in President Garcia Park? Because the United States government, they know that they don't like what I say on YouTube. And they know that my dollar bill, they don't want people knowing that the dollar bill is the Ark of the Covenant. Because they don't want people to know that the powers that be are not the Vatican. It's something even much more sinister than what we believe is in the Vatican. And they don't want people to know that, so they just squash the numbers on my channel. That's what they do. I mean, it's impossible for a person with 18,000. It's impossible to maintain 18,700 subscribers for 9 months. That's not possible. Got to go up or down. That's not possible. And it's impossible for me to get 94 views. I'll go and look at my channel statistics right now. It's not possible. I'm telling you, it's not possible. I'm not making it up. It's just not possible to get 94 views on a video. That's pretty cool, especially when you got these garbage channels on YouTube with, 400, 500 subscribers that don't put out any real content, and they'll get 2,500 views on some video about a puppy dog or a cat. But my channel with 18,700 subscribers that I've had for several years, I'll tell you the views in a minute. I think my video had 94 views after 5 hours. Yeah, less than that. Yeah. Here's the views. I put out the video on February 2nd, and I have 103 views. 103 views. I put out another video on February 1st. I got 65 views. Now, you tell me how it's possible to get 65 views with 18,700 subscribers about a Christmas, about a Christmas tree. You tell me how it's possible. Tell me. I want to know. We'll go to the video. It's a pretty cool video. It's 52 seconds long. I posted it 24 hours ago. I'm going to go to the video, and I'm going to show you how this is impossible numbers. And why are they impossible numbers? Because I said just what I did just now. I said the truth. And they don't want you to hear the truth. Steve Montelli knows this better than anybody else. He believes in a lot of things that I believe in, but one thing that we both agree on is that the government knows how to cure. Agree, whether it's true or not, we both agree that the government knows how to cure cancer. We both agree on that. You don't see any of these United States senators or anything dying of cancer. Here, look. Here's my video Traditional Philippines Christmas trees bring a whole new meaning to the word cheer. 65 views with 18,700 subscribers. It got 65 views. Some worthless garbage channel that puts out nothing of any value. It could be a music video of some oddball band that no one has ever heard of, and they have 500 subscribers, they'll get 1,000 views, or they'll get 300 views. I got 18,700 subscribers for 9 months, and every day I get less views on my videos than I did the week before. Every day. Now, there's a reason for that. There's a couple of reasons for that. But one is because I never took down my Obama videos or my John McCain videos or my White House videos or my Fukushima videos. I never took those videos down. And they're not illegal. They're just preventing my channel from getting views. I'll never take them down. I don't care if I get 20 views. I don't care. I do this because I enjoy this. Oh yeah, right. And Steve Montelli believes that there are chemtrails in the sky. I mean, duh. Just look up. Those clouds that we see today are not the same clouds we saw when we were children. Well, yeah, because you're going against a big company. Steve says YouTube fully demonized my video on PAL refund. Yeah, they demonetized it. He said demonized. Well, same thing. Demonetized, demonized. It's the same word. Yeah, they do that. They can do that. They have the right to do that. That's not, an issue. But they don't want. Look, I should have millions of subscribers by now. Yeah, oops. Yeah, I got you, Steve. I should have millions of subscribers by now. I have some of the best content on all of YouTube. Anybody can go out there and run their mouth. Anybody can go out there and say otherwise. My content is some of the best content on YouTube. Original, creative, genius. With 12 or 13, 14, 15 different personas that I take on and make my video content, being different types of personalities, different mindsets, different frames of mind. And I have real content: tugboats, barges, cranes, pile drivers, walking steel, digging out trees, 100-ton machines I'm running, 200-ton machines I'm running. I have all that content on my channel, building beaches, digging out, making pools for dolphin pools on the ocean, on the Atlantic Ocean. I have all this content, and yet I got 65 views on a video that I put out 36 hours ago with 18,700 subscribers. That's ridiculous. That's ridiculous. But that's what it is. But fortunately, I don't worry so much about the money that I get from YouTube. And I don't have to. So you hear people saying how broke. Oh, yeah, the broke thing. Oh, God. I must have heard Fazio's broke. The Bohol Walrus is broke. The Fat Man from Bohol is broke. Daisy left the Fat Man from Bohol because he's broke. Daisy didn't want to be with a broke fat walrus. Daisy hated me because I never had any money and I'm never going to build a hotel. Oh, yeah, that's right, that guy. If you see a guy that says he's building a hotel in Bohol, that's the guy. Thank you very much for that. I should have 1 million subscribers by now. That's how I believe that. Nobody has anything close to the knowledge of the dollar bill and the pictographs on the dollar bill. I've seen people with 1,500 subscribers put out a video on the dollar bill and they'll get 1 million views on it. I'll show you. Let's just put in, Let's see, what should we put in here? We can't use that page, but we can use this page. Let's look up owl. Let's look up owl on the dollar bill. That's probably the that's always the number one choice. Owl on dollar bill, right? And we go there. Used to be the first 40 videos. What I just said, 40 videos. There's 20 videos to a page. The first 2 pages didn't have anybody else's video except Michael Fazio's Owl on Dollar Bill video. Not one person ever in the history of YouTube ever had that kind of following. And then when they took my channel down for some nonsense copyright strike music in the background, now here's 4 videos, 8. Still don't see one. Here's one of my videos. This guy took. This is my drawing. This guy took. Look, hidden meanings on the dollar bill. This guy took my drawing of the little.
Hey guys, so I was at a bar the.
He took my drawing from the dollar bill. This guy, and he put it on his channel. That is a drawing of what I call the little devil on the dollar bill, right there. See that picture? He took mine, and he's got 441,000 views. But that's my drawing. I know that's mine because I can go to my channel, and I will. I'll go to my channel. I'll open up the videos page, and he copied my video drawing and then talked about it and got 441,000 views. He didn't do it on his own. So I'm going to go to my videos, and that's what people have done. They've used my videos, and you'll see my videos being talked about with my pictures, and they get 500,000, million, 2 million, 3 million views. I'm going to show you right now. As soon as we get the video page open. Owl on dollar bill. Show all. 21. Hold on a minute. It's not titled under that. Well, it might be one of these videos. But that's my picture. Take my word for it. And it's I forgot the name of the video. It's from 6 years ago. But this picture is from my drawings in my files. That picture. Hidden messages on the dollar bill. Solar cooking. 441,000 views. So now we have 8 videos and we have a blackout. I'll go to. So this video is going to. That's 12 videos, no Fazio videos. That's 16 videos, no Fazio videos. And now we're going to 20 videos and no Fazio videos. 24 videos and no Fazio videos. 28 videos, Owl on the Dollar Bill by Hoodwinked by an Angel. So 7 years ago, would have been 28 out of 28 videos would have said Hoodwinked by an Angel. Got to end the live stream right now. This backup battery that I have gives me 3 minutes with this screen on. So that's 28 videos. Should have been 28 Michael Fazio videos. All right, so now you got up to out of 28, 29, 30, 31. So out of 31, you have 3 Michael Fazio videos. Out of 31. 7 years ago, before they took my first channel down, 31 videos, 31 would have been Michael Fazio, Owl on Dollar Bill. They're just, they're censoring my channel. It's just that simple. So, ladies and gentlemen, I thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you very much. Salamat. Thanks for stopping by. I had a great time. I'm going to go out and paint something. And I'm going to end the live stream. So I'll look at the comments. until the battery dies, but I guarantee you that I don't have 90 seconds left, because even with the new battery, I bought a brand new battery backup, and it turns out this battery was just fine. I bought a whole new backup. Now I have 2 of them. This lasted 3 minutes, and the new one lasts 3 minutes. So my battery, I thought, was junk after just a year and a half or 2 years. The battery works just fine. So I'm going to go back to the comments. All right, let's end that, and that, and we'll end that. And there we are, Steve Montelli. Okay. Oops. All right, so we're back to, it's getting hot in here, baby. So you can hear the beep, beep, beep. It's going to die. I'm going to say goodbye. Thanks for stopping by, everybody. I'm being Permy from Michael Fazio. And I don't say Daisy May anymore because no one is super chatting. But if someone would have super chatted, I would have said, and Daisy May. Because Daisy, up until like 2 weeks ago when people super chatted me, Daisy still got half the money. Now you hear stories that Fazio's keeping most of the money because he's broke. God, the opportunity arose for certain people to say that to my face, and it just never happened, man. It never happened. I go into the malls every day. I see people that supposedly they're going to be people in the mall that I meet, and supposedly they're going to say this and say that, and la 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 la. And then you when I go to the mall, somebody goes, I know you're Michael Fazio. They shake your hand, they talk to you for a few minutes, but so far I've never met anybody in real life that didn't say hello and good afternoon. And I've had people say, I don't like some of your videos. They don't like some of my videos. That's cool. Nobody likes everything, even though I have some eclectic videos. I have to agree with them. Yeah, John Boone Bean, thanks for stopping by. Yeah, I have to agree with them. I don't like everybody's videos, and I don't watch everybody's videos. I very rarely even watch anybody's videos lately. I've been sent so many videos. 22 videos is like 19 hours of watch time that I had this week for watching other people's videos. And of course, I have to make notes and timestamps and things like that. But that was 22 videos, plus I had 64 I wanted to go through that I've been gotten over the last year. So maybe I watched YouTube videos, real ones, from anywhere from 8 to 10 minutes to an hour and 46 minutes. What is that one here? Let's see how long the number one video is. Let's see. The number one video is I think it's an hour and 46 minutes. 56 minutes. As Warren would say. That's what it sounds like when you listen to the whole thing. Not much being said, but some interesting things being said, but not much being said, but some interesting things being said. All right, that's it. Ladies and gentlemen, I'll say Warren, for those people, Warren sent me an email. He's very sick. He had to he got chemotherapy on Tuesday, I believe, or Wednesday morning. Thursday, they had to put him in an operating room and do an operation on him. He'll be out. Supposedly, he'll be out of the ICU Monday morning. And if he calls me, I'll give you an update. But Warren, for the first time since I know Warren, said, Michael, I'm very sick. And he's never complained before, ever. He's never one time ever complained before. He's never said, I'm sick, I'm not feeling well. He's never said that. Yesterday's email, he said, Michael, I'm very sick. I'll try to talk to you on Monday. I think he is very sick. For him to say it, I think he knows something that I don't know. Let me just go back to this for a minute. All right, that's it. Goodbye. Thanks for watching. Umping Permy. I'll give it the old 1-2 anyway. Umping Permy from Michael Fazio. And Daisy May. Remember, Salamat, the dollar bill guy, the Bahal Walrus, the guy who bangs the pot on his head. Those were classic comments about somebody that you weren't going to make a name mention to. The guy who thinks he can fly a plane. The guy who thinks he's going to build a hotel. Those were classic comments. I'm not going to mention his name, but that's the guy. If you see a guy who thinks he's going to build a hotel, that's the guy. If you see a guy who thinks he can run a tugboat, that's the guy. If you see a guy that depicts the dollar bill, his own thoughts on the dollar bill, that's the guy. If you see a guy that looks like a walrus in Bahal, that's the guy. If you see a guy who bangs his head with a pot, that's the guy. But I'm not going to mention his name. Classic stupidity, I would call that. Umping Permy.